Live from Edward T. Berry Ice Rink on the campus of UMass Boston, it's the 57th annual Codfish Bowl Tournament Championship game between the Albertus Magnus College Falcons and the UMass Boston Beacons. Good afternoon, everybody. Andrew Bluestein alongside my broadcast partner, Matt Meisenbacher. We thank you for joining us on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Well, Meisey, good to have you back. Beacons get a big win yesterday, defeating Fitchburg 4-1. They were strong in all three phases of the game. Coming in today, though, against the tough Albertus Magnus team, coming in at 10-3. We were talking before the broadcast, they defeated Trinity, which is an enormous deal in Division III college hockey. But what are your expectations today for the Beacons?
Well, I'm excited to see both these teams. I think UMass coming off their first back-to-back wins of the season. They ended the first half of their season with an overtime victory, and then, as you mentioned, a victory here last night. Find themselves in the Codfish Championship, which is always one of the goals of this team, is to make it to this game and win this game. I'm excited to see the matchup. You take a look at this Albertus Magnus College Falcon team. A lot of Canadians on the team, like we talked about. Got a surprising record, 10-3. Most times when you see an independent school, the records are usually a little bit lower than that. This team seems to really be on their way to finding success. I was talking to some people. The head coach, Kyle Wallach, has a strong history in the USHL and with Yale as well, so clearly doing good things with this program. Should make for a good matchup here tonight.
And this program will be joining the New England Hockey Conference next season, so shaping up to see what they look like beyond in the future. All right, let's take a look at the season stats between these two teams coming into this Codfish Bowl Championship game. You see UMass Boston there, only at 1.8 goals per game. And this Albertus Magnus squad, 3.5 goals a game. Got to keep your eye out on that. Goals against average, although better as of late, still at 3 there for the Beacons, and 2.21 for the Falcons, as their netminder Logan Bateman has played every single game this season. He'll get the nod in this one as well. Power play, the Beacons yesterday had 2 power play goals, only their fourth and fifth power play goals of the season, so hopefully they can keep that momentum going. And Albertus Magnus, very strong on the power play, 26.3%. They have 15 power play goals on the season. Beacons penalty kill sitting at 88% to the Albertus Magnus 87% shots per game. The Beacons up there at 36 just about, and the Falcons at 35. And penalty minutes per game, both these teams a bit up there. The Beacons at 9.40 and the Falcons at 12.23. All right, let's take a look at our matchup to watch here this afternoon. First, Alex Gagnon, the Quebec native, has 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points at +2 so far this season. Evan Guggens coming in on fire, had 2 goals yesterday, 2 beauties. I might add, one on the power play, which was an absolute snipe from the top of the right circle, and then another one where it was off the rush and he just went to the front of the net and finished it off. He also has 2 assists for 5 points, sitting at -2 on the season. Let's take a sneak peek at the Beaks' end of the year here before we move on into 2023. So women's basketball versus Eastern Nazarene at 11 a.m. And women's hockey at Amherst at 3 p.m. And that will finish off the new year. Head into the new year, rather, for the Beacons. As you see, both teams, or rather, it is only Albertus Magnus that is headed towards the bench, waiting for the Beacons to make their way out. And while we're doing that, let's look at the keys to the game for today. Beacons continue momentum from before the break. As we mentioned, they're looking to go 3 in a row. You mentioned, Meisey, first time this season they've won back-to-back games. Coming into today, they beat Santa Maria College in overtime coming into yesterday. So, as mentioned, going for 3 in a row there. Number 2, get scoring started. As we saw yesterday, Beacons were the first to score, and then they later took the lead. They never trailed yesterday. And then Sam Best, who made some spectacular saves yesterday, getting the nod again here today. Look for him to be a difference maker in this one?
Well, Andrew, I think for me, some of the things I'm looking at, taking a look at these two teams on paper, this seems to be an offensive style of team. This Falcon team seems to want to score. You took a look at the season statistics, scoring about 3-4 goals a game. I think for me, taking a look at this UMass team, offense is not their strong suit. I think when this team wins hockey games, they're strong defensively and they capitalize on the scoring opportunities that they do generate. They don't force the issue too much offensively. They make sure they're protecting the house, they're protecting their goaltending. Best has a tendency to make the saves if he can see them. He gets into trouble when he's asked to do too much, extend laterally, or come up with a second or a third save, as most goaltenders do. So for me, I think for this UMass team, it's got to start in and around their own net, defending well, and then when they get their opportunities offensively, it's capitalizing as much as possible.
All right, well, we're going to step aside and take a quick break, and we'll be back after the national anthem. Andrew Bluestein, Matt Beisenbacher with you here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Proportion to me is the lived experience of our Division III student athletes. They balance life from an academic perspective and the rigors of competing at a high level, bonding with teammates and building lifelong friendships. But they also are involved in their communities. They work jobs and internships and volunteer. They've learned to be resilient. Diverse experiences are setting them up for the future.
Passion's love.
Proportion to me is the lived experience of our Division III student athletes. They balance life from an academic perspective and the rigors of competing at a high level, bonding with teammates and building lifelong friendships. But they also are involved in their communities. They work jobs and internships and volunteer. They've learned to be resilient. Diverse experiences are setting them up for the future.
The 5-campus UMass system is the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
Responsibility is being accountable for your words and actions, first and foremost. It also is an obligation to be a positive influence in the communities around you. Being in a D3 program, you're going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not just an athlete, you're also involved in student life. Your academics are extremely important. We give a lot of our student athletes responsibilities right from the start by giving them leadership opportunities, by having them engage in the community, be a positive influence. That's being a responsible person.
I believe sportsmanship is it's a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person, and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to where I want to be.
And welcome back here inside Edward T. Berry Ice Rink as we look at today's starting lineups. First for the visiting Albertus Magnus Falcons. At left wing, it'll be Alex Gagnon. At center, Tyler Ignazito. At right wing, Luke James. On defense, Charles Risk and Harley Michaels. For the Beacons, it'll be Grady Friedman on the left, Mike Manzo at center, Corey Clifton on the right, Nick DeLuzio on defense, along with Blake Coleman. And tonight's starting goaltenders. For Albertus Magnus, it'll be Logan Bateman. He has played every game this season, coming in from Ottawa, Ontario, has a 10-3 record, a 2.01 goals against average, and a .29 save percentage. For the Beacons, Sam Best out of Woburn, Massachusetts, coming in with a 4-5 record, 2.73 goals against average, and a .904 save percentage. We're just about set to get underway here from the UMass Boston 57th Annual Codfish Bowl. And we're underway. Manzo wins the opening draw to Coleman. Goes to DeLuzio. Back to Coleman. Coleman looking to move it through the neutral zone. Gets picked off. Pattison got in his way, but Corey Clifton goes back to his own zone. Gets it to Coleman. Looking for Friedman on the tip. He was able to get a piece of it. Goes behind the net. Bateman misplays it. In front. Friedman a shot. That was blocked. On the chance, it was Antoni Otis who got in the way of that shot. Puck behind the net in the corner. Played up to the point. Coleman with it. Throws one towards goal. Hits a body. Deflects to the near side corner. Friedman plays it around the net. Bermanzo in front. Clifton a chance. And a save by Bateman. And he'll squeeze it against the side of the net for a whistle.
That's a strong opening shift for this UMass team. Right off the draw, you could see the zone entry was swift. They were able to possess, working out of those corners. Really like to see that with this UMass team, that low to high action, and then have that D get a quick shot there. Didn't really challenge the goaltender too much, but that's the type of offense that this team has really seen success so far this season.
Walker is able to win the draw. Pat Keegan dumps it in cross corner. Back the other way, though, come the Falcons. As they try to exit, but it's given away. Pat Keegan goes D to D. To Ryan Rowland. He'll play it up through the neutral zone. That goes in all the way behind the net. Bateman out to stop it. He'll leave it off for his defenseman, Harley Michaels, who plays it up into the neutral zone. Chipping it through the middle, and that will be an offside as Alex Gagnon was ahead of the play.
You want to see more of that, right? If you're this UMass team, I think a lead does a lot. You've got a little bit of confidence, a little bit of momentum. This is what you hoped for, ending the first half of your year with a win. We talked about coming into this Codfish Bowl and using this as a catalyst for the remainder of your season. They've done enough so far. This championship could go a long way for this team.
Back to get it is Austin Cook in his own end. Tries to play it through the middle. Bordeaux was there, but he got it past him. Now back the other way. Here's Chris Costas. Throws that one just wide of Best, and that one will come back to the neutral zone. Flipped in Austin Cook. That one sent to the far side. Anderson plays it towards goal. Best sticks it behind the net. Banked off of the back of the net. Now Anderson with it. Tries to reverse it down low for Kirkostas. Kirkostas got bumped there by Browning, but he gets it back. Flipped out to the point. For Timini. Plays it towards the goal, but it goes wide. Now back up top. A shot there. Doesn't get through. Hits a body in front. Anderson looking for it. Knocks it for the defenseman Bertamini, who sends it back in. Browning tying up his man in the corner. It's a rugby scrum. Puck still tied up in the near side corner. Finally comes out loose. Late man off the bench, a chance. Oh, what a save! Sam Best. Marvelous. Coming off his line. Making a sprawling save.
No, that's about as good as it gets. I mean, no doubt about it. That's a one-timer. That's about as far as a goaltender's got to move. And you're coming from the corner of your net all the way to the top of your crease, really, to get there in time. And the only thing you can do as a goaltender is try to take away everything low. If you forward or the D in that case can get it upstairs, God bless them. But you're just trying to take as much as you can away low. And you see Sam Best there did a fantastic job getting the glove over the pad. No rebound. Great stop.
And Best made a save very similar to that yesterday against Fitchburg State. So the Beacons netminder stays hot to start this one. Krapinski tried to flip it in, and now he's able to keep it in on the second chance, but Manning is able to get it out. So Manning scored the OT winner for the Falcons yesterday, beating Tufts 4-3 in overtime. He stays with it, gets it to Risk at the point, firing it. That one was going wide, but Sam Best smartly gloves it for a whistle, allowing for his team to make a change.
This Falcon team looks quick to me. They skate fast. They move the puck fast. I think this speed is going to be a test for this UMass team, is can they stay in their structure and respond. You're going to face teams that are faster than you. That's just the nature of the game, but it's how you respond to it. It's typically the difference in a win or a loss.
Battled for it, the face-off circle. Wheeled towards the middle, and it goes behind the net. Keegan gets that puck, flips it off the glass, not out. Kept in at the line by Michaels. Michaels battling there, and it's forced back to the neutral zone. Back the other way. A chance for the Beacons, trying to slip that through, but couldn't. As back the other way comes the Falcons. Pattison absorbs that pass. Sent in behind the net. Keegan intercepts that, flips it for Clifton. Flips it up through the middle looking for Friedman. It's gloved down though and sent in by Bertamini. Keegan first on it. Will flip it all the way down, and this will be an icing as it'll come back to the Beacons end. 16:03 to go, opening period.
You can see a little bit of that, right? This UMass team struggling with the speed a little bit so far here. That pass is indicative. Keegan just kind of flipping one out. I think it was Keegan. Check me on that.
It was Keegan.
Just kind of flipping one out to nowhere, just trying to get a reset here, even though it's an in-zone draw, just trying to have his team defensively reset, and let's see if they can break out here.
Andy Walker wins the draw. Friedman heads off for a change. But back become the Falcons. Chipped in. First on it is Duncan. Stays with it, being pressured in the corner. Gets it over for Ryan Rowland, who goes back to Duncan, and now it's tied up in the corner. 4 guys there. Comes out to the point for Cook. Cook dances, will flip it in, goes to the near side corner. Now Bertamini at the point, fires. That one got tipped in front, but it goes wide off the stick of Ignazito. Out to the point, and it'll come back to the neutral zone as Cook had to handle it on his backhand. Gagnon back to Bertamini, who rescues it in front of his own net. Andy Walker and Ty Matthews strong on the forecheck, but now they'll peel off for a change. Austin Cook looking up ice. Goes to the neutral zone, past the red line, chipped in. First there, though, is Blake Coleman. Coleman tried to play it off the boards. It's intercepted. Gagnon working to the front of the net, got chipped away. Now Guggens with it. Goes cross ice to Bordeaux. Bordeaux chips it in. Back to get that is Charles Risk. He'll play it to the far side. For Costas to Weitzman. Now Anderson with it. He'll chase in the corner. He gets bumped there by Ryan Bogan, and the puck comes out loose to Kirkostas. He goes out to the point, and having trouble there was Brady Farrell, so he'll have to take it back to center. Farrell banks it off the boards. That's chipped in by Kirkostas. Goes behind the net. As Krapinski was there first, he'll reverse it, leaving it for Banks. Banks now with speed out of his own end, through center ice in the neutral zone. Gets around the man and draws a tripping penalty. Beacons to the power play, centering pass. They're looking for Carabelli, and the puck goes under his stick. So Sam Best off for the extra attacker, as a good effort by Jacob Banks drawing a tripping penalty. Rather, that's Bankowskis who entered and centered in. Finally getting possession are the Falcons. So the Beacons back to the power play. And Mizey, we mentioned yesterday, 2 power play goals. Let's see if they can keep it going here.
Well, it's an unfortunate play for Falcons. Michaels there blows a tire, and as he's falling down, it just inadvertently, you get called for a trip. And that was pretty easy for the referee, but it wasn't totally intentional from my vantage point. Nevertheless, Beacon's going to be on a power play here, and they desperately need this. Since that first shift, we have not seen a lot of offense from this team, so they really need to generate something here.
So it'll be Manzo with Clifton, Moran, and Coleman and Friedman at the points. Beacons is able to control Friedman with it at the far point. Walks towards the circle, flips it over to Coleman. Coleman shoots, that one gets blocked. Caden Pattison got his leg on it. Friedman tries to get it back, but it's pushed out to center. Coleman quickly back for the blue line. Clifton will settle it and go back to Coleman. Coleman out of his own end. Looking through the middle. Stays with it. Gets past the red line. Backhands it. In deep. First there is Bertamini. And that one sent all the way back down to the Beacon zone.
Well, it's a great vantage point here. You see that the shot gets blocked. Coleman takes a shot from the point. It gets blocked, and then since then they haven't been able to possess or get back into the zone. So about a minute into this power play, and one shot block has cost you about half the time.
1:05 to go. Now Coleman tries to go backdoor for Manzo, but it was disrupted there by Ryan Henry. Friedman to Clifton to Coleman. Walks into that one, gets blocked. Henry with it, and he'll bank it off the glass. Not out. Nice play by Friedman to keep it in. Gets it to Manzo in the middle. Over to Clifton. One-timer. Deflected. Score! The Beacons once again stay hot on the power play, and they're off and running.
Well, that's about lucky as you get. That's a complete changeup. That might be more than a changeup. It might have been an eephus pitch. That was completely off speed. I don't think Clifton, he probably just got enough of it to get it towards the net. Sure enough, the goaltender, and that can happen sometimes in hockey, just a complete changeup. You're expecting a rocket, and you get about half the speed. Now, they're going to take a quick conversation here. The only problem is if that puck was touched, it could potentially be a high stick. I don't know if it was. The face-off right now, and the Falcons are they're going to want to talk about this.
I believe it was Manzo who was in front, and I thought it was deflected. Obviously, you mentioned, Mizey, it was a kind of a change-up, but I thought it may have changed directions going into the net. And
that was probably 30 miles an hour. That's going to count. So that to me tells me that's Clifton's goal. I think that was probably 30, 40 miles an hour, and it beat the goaltender. Just a complete change-up, and the Beacons with a 1-0 lead.
So Corey Clifton with goals in back-to-back games. That was his third of the season. As Albertus Magnus looks to press the attack, but the Beacons look to break out. Banks chips it through center, sends it in. First there was Harley Michaels. He took a spill going in hard into the boards. Now Risk backhands it off the boards. Keeping it in, though, was Ryan Rowland momentarily. Sent back in. Back to get it is Michaels. He gets tied up by Banks. Now Carabelli swoops in. Had it, but lost it. Now back the other way. Here comes Genyo. He'll chip it in, but Keegan gets there first. He'll send it around the kick blade to the far side. Carabelli's there. He looks to break out. It's Ty Matthews on the far wing. Ty Matthews throws it in front, and the goaltender Bateman able to snip it out and smother it for a whistle, but another good opportunity for the Beacons there.
And you can see with that power play, I mean, Albertus Magnus probably had 5 or 6 shifts before that power play where they were just completely, they had UMass pinned in the offensive zone. That power play has completely changed things now. This is the third shift after that power play, and UMass has really done a lot of possessing.
As you just saw a replay there, it was Moran in front. Couldn't tell if he got a piece of it, but nonetheless, Beacons have a 1-0 lead. That one's sent in behind the net. As Cameron Weitzman first there, and it gets chipped up into the netting out of play.
And I think the thing for me is the response, right? So we're about halfway through this first period here. You know you're going to get a push from this Falcons team. How does UMass respond? Because I think for a little while there, it looked like, especially, let's not forget the save that Best made. I mean, this could easily be a 1-1 hockey game. He had no business making that stop, and sure enough, he came up with it. So the response here from UMass, I think, has to be to continue with this momentum, because I think this Albertus Magnus team is going to find a way at least to get a couple here tonight.
Kirkostas throws that one towards the middle, hits a body as Ryan Bogan was able to collect and get it back to center. Austin Cook flips that to his teammate Weitzman, who sends it right back to him. The stretch pass goes right to Davis Browning. Here comes Guggens. Guggens fires. Blocker saved by Bateman. Moran now sends it behind the net as Guggens tries to rescue it, but it goes to Kirkostas. He muscles it back to center, but a nice job there by Guggens. Now Bordeaux leaving it off for Coleman. Coleman's shot goes wide on the blocker side. That one sent towards the goal by DeLuzio.
Coleman's got to do a better job. 2 block shots and a missed net so far from the point. That continues. Forwards aren't going to trust you. They're going to continue to work things down low.
Moran will backhand that one. Bordeaux looked to be first on it, but it was Connor Bertamini who got there first. And now back the other way come the Falcons. Stretch pass looking for Pattison. Pattison fires one. Pad save best. Loose puck, and it bounced over the stick of Bailey Kerwin. Now the Beacons back the other way. Manzo tries to wheel it for Bordeaux. The late man is Rowland. Now Coleman. Centering pass goes off a skate. Manzo rescues the loose puck. Stays with it. Has it out top. Gets it to Coleman at the near side point. He'll shovel it down low for Clifton. He fans on that pass attempt as Bordeaux able to stay with it. Leaves it off behind the net. Manzo tries to avoid his defender. Was able to momentarily, and now comes to the near side. Being battled for there in the corner. Chipped out to the point. Pattison takes a whack at it. Coleman stepped into one, and that one doesn't get through. Now rebound in front. Friedman an opportunity on the doorstep, and a save by Bateman.
Friedman continues to walk that across the slot. I think he's got a goal. He just didn't have the patience. Wanted to fire it on net, which I understand you're in the slot, but if he takes 2, maybe 3 strides there, the goaltender's already committed. I think he's got an open net.
Good pressure here early on from UMass as they look to exit the zone. Keegan hits Friedman on the breakout pass. Friedman tried to play it dangerously through center ice, and it was deflected by Chionchi, as now Risk still has it in his own end. Tries to play it, gets it to Tim Manning, who chips it in. No icing. Pat Keegan first there, will play it around the boards as it goes past his teammate Duncan on the far side. Falcons try to battle there, but it's Andy Walker who has it. He'll play it to center. Gets it for Ty Matthews. Ty Matthews on the near wing. Tried to work against Risk there, but Risk did a good job positionally, as now the Falcons try to exit. Puck comes back in on Bateman, the netminder, as Beacon's doing a good job bothering the defensive zone exits from Albertus Magnus.
They sure have. The forecheck looks a lot better, and they're keeping the shift short. If you take a look, even when they have offensive possession, they're finding ways to change. I think that's keeping this forecheck at high intensity, as a breakout pass there almost connected.
But a good play by Owen Bordeaux. That was Luke James who was on the rush. Now a chance the other way, as Guggens perhaps could have had a break, but good defensive job there by the Falcons, and it goes in on Bateman. He'll take a whistle.
7:48 here left in the first. Curious to see what line UMass goes with. They've really done a nice job here for the past, I'd say, 4 or 5 minutes here. Like we talked about, continuing on that forecheck, being disruptive in their offensive zone and in the neutral zone. Looks like it's going to be the fourth line here. Try to get them some minutes.
Bankowskis wins it. Matthews a shot. Rebounds loose, and Bateman able to find it and cover it for a whistle.
Yeah, nice little face-off play there, right? Pretty simple. You keep your left wing, I believe, a little bit offset there and just win it back for a quick shot. Looks like they're set up for a similar play.
This time, Ignazito wins the draw from Bankowskis. The Falcons, nice hit there by Banks as he put the shoulder into Ignazito. Henry with it, chips it in, goes into the skates of Coleman, but right there is Krapinski to rescue it. He'll play it off the boards, turns it over though. Henry's shot, that was going wide, hits a body, still loose in front. Best can't find it, and now he does, and a late whistle there. Looked like Best had it, and now we have some rough stuff going on in the crease. And it looks as if cooler heads will prevail. But Mizia, looked like Sam Best had that puck for a good 2 seconds before the whistle went.
He did, and it's kind of funny because I believe there's a little bit of friendly fire there. I've taken a look to see who actually fell on top of Best, but to me, it looked like Krapinski, and it's 14, so it looked like Krapinski was the aggressor there and threw James, Luke James, the senior forward for Albertus Magnus, on top of his own goaltender. That's something you want to avoid, but that's a tough call. Albertus Magnus is going to get a penalty. And I want, you know what, it's a different player, so that's 26, so it's going to be Ignazito who's actually going to go. So a little bit of scrum there. I didn't really see. I thought that would have been washed out. I'm surprised the penalty got called, but nevertheless, UMass Boston back on the power play.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mizia. I believe he was pushed in, and perhaps a makeup call here, but that was indeed a penalty as a pick play off the faceoff, and it'll be an interference penalty going against the Beacons.
That's really unfortunate there. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's a pick play for sure. Beacons looking as if they don't know who necessarily the call's on, but I think we're going to play four-side here.
There was Caden Pattison who was on the wrong side of that collision. He was a bit slow to get up, and he'll head off. Hopefully he's okay, as the Beacons actually got penalized for the same thing yesterday, as we'll play some 4-on-4 here for a minute 57. But just goes to show you that they have set plays off the faceoff, and they're looking to generate offense.
Well, there's no penalty for a pick, but referees oftentimes call interference, right? And you can run those plays naturally and create a pick, but if there's any type of contact, it's going to get called. And that's one of those, you really fine line, but you've got to pay attention to that if you're running that play.
Risk sent that one in as Krapinski's there, tries to get it to Coleman. Manzo is there. Now Coleman reverses it back for him behind the net. Krapinski flips it behind his back off the boards and absorbs a nice hit there from Michaels. Now Risk with it. In the near side neutral zone. He'll send it in around the kick blade to the far side. Michaels was there. He's able to chip it through. Centering pass, nobody there, but Coleman, he gives it away. Risk to Kirkostas. on the near side. A good recovery by Coleman. Coleman sends it to space over for Krapinski, who gets there first. He chips it to Manzo in the neutral zone. Now here comes Coleman. Coleman, nice move at the blue line. He'll enter. Leaves it off for Clifton. Nice stick handling by the Beacons here, but Clifton will turn that over as it goes back to center. And Rowland will give it back to Coleman. Coleman gives it away. Risk with space. Nice move. Tries to cut to the middle, but a nice defensive play there by Ryan Rowland in the middle. Now Friedman back the other way, has Clifton, and Rowland as the trailer. Friedman fires it towards goal, sticked away by Bateman. Now in the far corner. As coming out with it is Kerwin. Now through ice is Gagnon. Leaves it off for Cook. That shot, getting a piece of it was Best. I think that might have hit the knob of his stick.
I think it got the post.
Or the post.
Yeah, I think that beat him. Beacon's giving up way too much ice. I mean, just way too passive here. Let's see if they change that. That was 3 aside, and they were back really on top of their goaltender before they started to defend.
So the final 10 of the 4-on-4 and a brief 3-second power play for Albertus Magnus. Ty Matthews with it, shovels it for Clifton, who couldn't handle the pass, as that will do it for the 4-on-4 and now the power play. So we're back to 5 aside. Pat Keegan with it. He'll bank it off the boards for Moran. Moran leaves it for Guggens. Guggens swoops in, stays with it, takes it behind the net. Guggens in front, his shot goes wide. Now Browning throws it towards the goal, gets blocked. Cook with it, leaving it off for Michaels, or rather that was Brady Farrell. Back to center. Browning one-hands it, but Pattison was there. Pattison taking it to the outside, backhands it behind the net. Getting there is Antoniotis. As it's tied up, Guggens chips it ahead for Bordeaux. Guggens with speed through the middle, tries to leave it for Bordeaux. Bordeaux gets his stick on the clearing attempt, so the Beacons stay with it. Moran cuts to the net, saved by Bateman. Comes out to Browning at the point. Goes over for Bankowskis, who is coming off the bench, couldn't handle the pass. Pattison back the other way. He'll enter, leaving it off. That shot gets blocked by Browning as Bordeaux is headed off for a change. Now here comes Bogan, the defenseman. On his own up ice, will throw it towards goal. Bateman pads it away. Bankowskis in front. His shot goes wide. Back behind the net. Matthews dropped his stick, but gets it back and able to get to the puck first. Stays with it. Being heckled by Harrison. And I believe we're going to have a too many men on the ice call here against the Beacons.
And a look of confusion across the board on the players and the bench. No idea what happened, who was supposed to be going, who was supposed to be staying, but nevertheless, it's too many men on the ice.
It's going against Albertus Magnus.
You sure about that? I'm seeing a Beacon get in the box.
There's 2 guys in the box for each team. I was going to say, I think maybe both teams had too many men on the ice.
You know what? I saw the referee give the unsportsmanlike sign, and I was wondering if perhaps he just gave the wrong signal. I wonder if Albertus Magnus said too much to him. They've been barking pretty good at these referees. I wonder if that's a bench minor.
I think that might be the case.
We'll have to listen to the announcer. I mean, they've been on these refs pretty good here. You can see the head coach really giving it to his players there. I almost wonder. I thought it was a too many men. I think it was the original call, and then I saw him give the unsportsmanlike signal here. So you take a look, and you can see we're not going to have the expanded view, but there's 6 players on the ice there. So that's the penalty.
Well, the Beacons definitely had 6 guys on the ice, and you could tell the bench was emphatic. And you can see now, I think you might be right, because one of the coaches on the bench is giving Austin Cook, who's in the box, a hard time. Or actually, Sam Anderson is in the box, as we'll play 4-on-4 again. Actually, no, we won't. I think it was a 10-minute misconduct.
It's a 10. Yeah, they gave him a 10 for unsportsmanlike. So it's still a power play for Albertus Magnus, but they've got a 10-minute unsportsmanlike that they're going to have to kill off. So or not really, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. They don't have to kill anything off. Just that player can't play for a little while.
Gagnon chips it out for Anderson, or rather Kostas, who gloves it at the point. Gagnon to the middle. Now pushes it to the outside. That's Ignazito. Now up top to Risk. Risk at the point. His shot gets blocked. Walker whacks it back to center. Heading off for a change for the Beacons was Alex Duncan. Gagnon brings it back in, a shot. Saved by Best. Puck still loose. And swooping in was Andy Walker. And Hill send it down the river.
Well, another great save by Best. He's come up with some big ones this period there. That one with quick leg and just got the toe on it. The rebound was actually sitting there for a little while. He was able to clear it aside, but I'd count that as a grade A stop there for 33.
So Kirkostas brings it in. Chips it to Kerwin. But Garabelli disrupted that pass. Now sent back to center there by Bankowskis. And 30 seconds now will remain on the Falcons' power play as they look to break out through center. Harley Michaels, the defenseman, brings it in. Chips it into the near side. Ryan Bogan will play it all the way around, but not out. Goes behind the net. Kerwin collected it with his skate. Gets it down low for Antoniotis. As Falcons stay with it. Now to Cook at the point. D to Michaels. His shot blockered away by Best. That'll do it for the power play. And back straight onto the ice is Ty Matthews. Goes to the far side. Matthews, nice play there. Able to win the puck. Gets it out to center. And tumbles into the penalty bench boards there. And now back the other way. That one driven in hard by Tim Manning. Goes off the boards and quickly back to center. Now Farrell with it. Farrell, they'll decide to play it around the kick blade, but Pat Keegan is there behind the net. Now Duncan with it. Tries to chip it. Getting a piece of it there. In the middle was James, but not enough. Matthews enters. His shot deflects. Goes off the corner glass. That one chipped back out to center. Keegan tries to wheel it in. Goes off his stick and ends up behind the net as Logan Bateman will come out to play it. That one's passed through the middle. Nice play by Duncan to wheel it over to Manzo. Keegan. Final minute of this first period. That one's sent back in behind the net. Pattison there first. Getting a body on him was Ryan Rowland. He can try to exit. A giveaway. That shot goes just wide. As a couple of costly giveaways, or not costly, fortunately so far, but not good giveaways by the Beacons in their own end.
Well, it's still something that needs to be addressed here. We'll talk about it a little more in 30 seconds, but
Clifton shot on goal, patted away by Bateman. As that one's chipped back down low. Final 20 seconds approaching. Coleman gloves it down, goes cross ice for Clifton. Tried to get around Cook, but Cook's held his ground, and it's chipped in the corner. Friedman was there. That one's flipped off the roof in the final 10 seconds, so the whistle and the faceoff will stay in the Falcon zone.
And that's really important here that it's in zone, because now you can put your best center out there. I would run a play. You've got 10 seconds here. No sense. I mean, a lot of times in this case, you're up one. You've got an offensive draw. Just try to tie up, get to the locker room up with the lead. But in this case, with 10 seconds, it's enough to run something here. Let's see what the Beacons choose to do.
Moran takes the draw. Googans throws it towards goal, and a glove save by Bateman. So still 7 seconds, though, Mizey.
And you can see there it worked, right? Just a wing to the right side, pass back to have the far side wing on the left side come around the top and get a quick shot. That only took about 3 seconds here. See if they run something similar.
So Moran again, but this time it's Nagazito who wins the draw. That goes back to the neutral zone, and that will do it for this first period. But I'll tell you what, Beacons do have a little bit to clean up, especially exiting out of their own zone, but they also did generate some good looks offensively.
Yeah, I think overall a pretty fair period for both these teams. I think the Beacons got the bounce, which is obviously the difference here, a 1-0 lead after one. For me, I think the goaltender, I think Sam Best really stole that period. Albertus Magnus had at least 3 opportunities I saw from in close, 2 of which Best made a good save, 1 of which they missed the net. So I think for me, this score is a little bit more of just a bounce, more so than the way one team played over the other. I think the Beacons want to clean that up. They've given a lot of ice away to this Albertus Magnus team. Again, the scoring opportunities, they asked their goaltender to come away with some big ones in that period to keep this thing at 0. Now, on the other side, I think they forechecked well. This was a team that I thought was really porous in the way that they forechecked in the first half of the season. That's clearly been addressed here. You can see how aggressive they were being in that first period there. Albertus Magnus having a very tough time breaking out with the puck and entering the zone with speed. So I think that's something you can cultivate and use moving into the second period. That's something that they could build upon. But I think defensively, they've got to do a little bit more. They're asking too much of the goaltender right now.
Well, that's where we stand here after one period. The goal by Corey Clifton, his third of the year and second in 2 games, is what stands alone on the scoreboard. We'll be back to go over the first period scoring summary and statistics. Once again, it's the Beacons leading Albertus Magnus after one period. Andrew Bluestein, Matt Meisenbacher here with you. We'll be right back on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris, the subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well, but it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that, and it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
I'm the first undergraduate alumnus to lead this university. I'm very proud of that. I was literally able to transform my life because of the University of Massachusetts, and I want that for every single student that walks through the door.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
And welcome back here inside Edward T. Berry Ice Rink. After one period, the Beacons leading the Albertus Magnus College Falcons 1-0. As we look at our first period scoring summary, Corey Clifton getting his third of the season, and the assist coming from Grady Friedman and Mike Manzo, and that's where we stand now. And now we'll take a peek at the first period stat line. Beacons, again, seems as if they have a shot mentality. Because yesterday, obviously you weren't here, but the Beacons had 40-plus shots on net, generating, it seems as if they had a shot mentality, as I just said, as they lead 12-9 going into the second period.
Yeah, and that's probably something they discuss. I mean, from my history of playing this game, right, when you're offensive and you have guys that can create and have a elite set of skills offensively, right, you allow them to have some liberty in the offensive zone. They might have an opportunity to shoot, but you trust in their decision-making perhaps to create something of even a better advantage. Not necessarily the skill set of this team. I think keeping it simple, and you saw that there in that period, the way that they score, and the one we saw there was kind of more of a, I don't want to say a lucky bounce. It was a set play, but it just happened to kind of fool the goaltender. But I think where this team has success is generating off the simple plays, right? We saw that low to high action they were generating on the power play, a quick shot from the blue, or entering the zone with speed, maybe one pass and a shot. I think when they do that, they're basically saying, hey, we're going to pump so much rubber onto this goaltender, we're going to guarantee ourselves at least a couple bounces that go our way. Maybe not in the net, but a rebound, a tip, a screen, something that we can use to generate some offense that way. And it's really two routes to the same means. For me, I think that's where this team has success. I think they get into trouble when they try to create too much, be a little bit too pretty. You saw that there in the first period. A lot of shots on goal. One of them found the way in the back of the net.
So we look at the saves. We talked about Sam Best, 9 saves in the period. Made a few big ones for the Beacons, as Logan Bateman making 11 of his own. And we mentioned the play of Sam Best. Yeah, he was spectacular yesterday, and a few big saves again in that first period.
Yeah, for me, he was the difference. I think this could easily be a 1-1, a 2-1 hockey game. 2 saves in that period that I thought were the first one coming across. We'll see that highlight. That'll be on his best of reel, I'm sure, because he came all the way across, was able to get that stop. And then I think one that was sneaky for those that maybe don't play the position. When you've got somebody coming down the slot with speed that can go high, low, left, or right, you really got to trust your reflexes. You really have no idea where they're going to go. And he was able to get the right pad on it, off the toe. That you've got to be so quick to make that stop. I thought that one was a grade A, and then they had another one they missed the net on. So for me, Beacons just got to tidy that up a little bit, and I think that'll be something I'll be addressing this in between periods here.
Face-off department tied at 8 apiece, both teams, and Beacons 1 for 2, staying hot on the power play. That's 3 power play goals in their last 2 games. Albertus Magnus was 0 for 2, and there you see the penalties. Mizey, any final thoughts before we wrap up our first period coverage here?
Continue with the forecheck. We talked a little bit about it. I think they got to continue to pressure that way. There were a few opportunities there where I think, and they were caught in between on a change, where I think the forecheck was actually going to create some turnovers, but they didn't have everybody in the zone. To me, that's a good sign that your forecheck's working. It's being disrupted. But I think one of the things they have got to address, this Falcons team is quick, and they are flying through the neutral zone. We saw a couple times there where UMass was unable to capture that speed, right, and they back up so quickly. By the time they're able to gap up and defend, they're really in the slot or on top of their goaltender. There's just not enough room there. You're giving up so much ice. I think they've got to find a way to really shut that down and limit the speed of the Falcons.
Well, once again, that'll wrap up our first intermission coverage. It's the UMass Boston Beacons leading the Albertus Magnus Falcons at the end of 1 period. Andrew Bluestein, Matt Meisenbacher here with you. We'll be back for second period action on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
UMass Boston men's basketball at home taking on Salem State Tuesday night. The Beacons looking to move to the best start since the 2016-17 season at 7-3. And it would be a back-and-forth game. Early on, Malik Lorquette goes on a 6-0 run of his own, the senior, continuing his hot start to the season for the Beacons with back-to-back layups right here against a pair of tall guards for Salem State in Jarrett Byrne and Connor Byrne. As you see Lorquette laying it up right there to cap off the 6-0 run, giving the Beacons their largest lead of the first half at 10-5. Lorquette would continue his dominance in the first half with yet another layup there. Jarrett Burns then comes the other way on the offensive for Salem State to help give them their first lead since 3-0 in the game. But the Beacons would respond with a 5-0 run. Once again, Tommy Burris nailing a corner 3 right there. And then Emmanuel Zayas, who has been hot shooting lately, gets that layup to fall there. The Beacons back in front. And then Connor Byrne would go on a 4-0 run for the Vikings with 2 baskets right here. Helps them reclaim the lead 30-28. but the Beacons would continue to battle back, and a 6-0 run right after that, emphasized by that Malik Lorquette dunk to start it, would help the Beacons go back ahead by 4 points. That would be what they would go into the halftime leading by, 40-36. You see Emmanuel Zayas nailing this fadeaway jumper before the end of the first half. But the second half would be a back-and-forth battle to start. Burris leading off the second half with that mid-range jumper gives the Beacons the largest lead up to that point at 6. A 6-point game with about 12:30 left. Jaden Castillo hits a three-pointer, drops that Beacon lead down to 3, and then Castillo with another jumper right here is going to make it just a 2-point game after a 3 on the other side for the Beacons. As time starts to wind down in the second half, the Beacons go on a little bit of a run. Manny Zayas hits a 3 right there, giving them an 8-point lead, and then Malik Lorquette off the steal lays it up and in. It's 71-65 up to this point. And then Mariano Olivier Rodriguez hits a 3, and the Beacons in control by 9 points. Xavier McKenzie really putting this one away with 3 minutes to go. Hits this jumper. The sharpshooting Beacons shoot 50% from the field yet again, 40% from three-point range in this one as they go on to win 87-78 over Salem State, moving to their best start since 2016-2017. The Beacons will look to move into their best start under head coach Jason Harris on Thursday night against Westfield State. Tip-off scheduled at home for 7 o'clock p.m. UMass Boston men's basketball at home at the Clark Athletic Center, kicking off their 4-game stretch before the winter break against Eastern Nazarene, looking to avenge a loss last year at the last second. And the Beacons would trail 15-9 early on and then go on a massive 21-0 run to help them take control in the game. You saw Emmanuel Zayas hit a 3, and then Malik Lorquette with a tough layup there. And then Zayas kicks it out to Bobby Joy at the top of the key for 3. Nothing but net gives the Beacons their first lead of the game, 17-15, and it would continue from there as Zayas just pulls up from long range, hits yet another 3 in the first half. Tommy Burris adds his name to the three-point list with this one that goes in and out and then back in. Beacons in control by 8, would force a timeout from the Lions. Then Lorquette working one-on-one down low, somehow gets that one to go. Beacons up by double digits, and then Xavier McKenzie in transition, one-on-one, lays it up. He'd get the and one opportunity. McKenzie has had himself a great freshman campaign so far, nails the free throw. The Beacons in control now by 12, and then Malik Lorquette again. He's been impressive all season, dunks this one home to put an exclamation point on that 21-0 run for the Beacons. Then to start the second half, the Beacons would be up by only 9, and they go on a 14-2 run to start off the second half, starting with that Lorquette layup, and then Lorquette with a steal once again, spin moves, lays it up and in. The Beacons in control by double digits, 13 up to this point. And then Zayas on the feed from Lorquette from long range hits another three-pointer. And then Mariano Olivier Rodriguez and one opportunity, a 4-point play as he nails that 3 from the left side. Zayas then would hit a 3 from about a similar spot, and the Beacons just continue to roll with some sharp shooting in this game. Xavier McKenzie would then cap off that run with a nice layup right here, close.
And welcome back here inside Edward T. Berry Ice Rink for the 57th annual Codfish Bowl Championship game. It's the UMass Boston Beacons leading the Albertus Magnus College Falcons 1-0 as we head into the second period. Andrew Bluestein, Matt Meisenbacher here with you on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Meisey, both teams on the benches. What are your expectations and thoughts heading into the second period?
I still feel, I mentioned this in the first period, I still feel as though the Falcons are going to find a way to score. And I think the last thing, there's a fine line, right, between getting into a shootout, but recognizing that this team offensively is probably going to find a way to get a couple, right? So you've got to find, you don't want to get into an all-out shootout, but you've got to find a way to recognize, hey, if they do score, we've got to have enough confidence in the offensive side of our game to respond. So I think for me in this second period, that's going to be something I would watch. And on top of that, I think the Beacons had a good period. I think they've got to follow it up here, though. We've seen a tendency with this team to kind of falter when things aren't going their way. So those are the two key points, I think, for me from a UMass side and really from an Albertus Magnus side as well here for the second.
Both teams lining up for the second period opening faceoff. Mike Manzo and Dino Antodiotis on the faceoff. Linesman gives a single, and we're underway for second period action. A stalemate off the draw. Manzo able to find it, dish it out, and get it back to his defenseman, Nick DeLuzio. Manzo hits Clifton. Clifton down the near wing. His shot got maybe deflected by Henry's stick, and it went in on the netminder Bateman. Now back the other way. Kerwin down the near wing. Tries to send it through the crease, sticked away by Sam Best. Big collision on the far side between Manzo and Kerwin into those corner boards. Now Michaels with it. Dancing to the top. Throws for Pattison. A funny deflection, and Sam Best had to reach up and glove it. Might have been going over the net, but the netminder alert there.
Kind of similar to what we saw on the Clifton goal, right? Same side, and that Clifton's, it might have been deflected, might have been tipped. We don't know. It was in the back of the net. This one, same thing. It was definitely a changeup. It wasn't a fastball. And this time, Best was able to get a glove on it. But you're right. That puck was definitely deflected.
Walker tried to chip that one ahead off the draw. As gets sent back to center. Risk collects, goes D to Michaels. Michaels skating through the neutral zone. Banks it off the boards, gets deflected, but Ignazito was ahead of the play offside, so the face-off back in the neutral zone. So face-off just outside the blue line, directly in front of us. Andy Walker able to win the face-off. Swooping in is Pat Keegan. He'll chip it ahead. That goes into the Falcons' end, but Risk collects. Takes it in front of his own net. Tries a stretch pass looking for James, perhaps a breakaway, and it goes in on Sam Best. Fortunate for the Falcons, no icing, and they'll get an offensive zone face-off.
Just a little stretch play there, trying to hit somebody on a seam, and it looked to be skipping a little bit. I think that probably was pretty difficult pass to catch and ended up on Best. So it actually works out for the Falcons because now they get an end zone draw. At Best, that's one of those, man, if you have a chance to play it and just avoid a situation like this, you try to take it, right? Because now you give the Falcons easy and on an end zone draw, Keegan's able to come away with it.
Googans, as you said, wins the faceoff, chips it around. Now Moran a chance. Tried to slip it through to Googans. Played through the middle, hits a body, and James has to reverse it back behind his own net. Risk stumbles a bit, and the Beacons jump on it. Moran gets it to the point. Bogan. Bordeaux tried to tip it back towards the net. Puck didn't really have a lot of juice on it. That shot thrown towards goal gets a skate and back to center. Bogan tries the cross corner dump in, but goes right into Harley Michaels' feet, and he'll play it for Risk. That played through the middle. Bogan's right there. Plays it through center. Chipped into the zone. Michaels back to get it. Bordeaux as Michaels goes to the ice. And now Risk sends it back the other way. Gagnon through the middle to the net and alone. Great defensive play by Bogan with his stick.
He might have saved a grade A scoring opportunity. That's the one player to look. And Gagnon was in, looked pretty clean. Bogan had one move left, was able to get that puck away. A nice defensive play.
Kirkostas tries a wraparound as that one goes out the other side. Another shot goes deflected in front, and Best got a pad on it. Now back the other way. Banks. Coleman tried to send him. No icing.
That was Weitzman on the redirect there. Another great save by Best.
Banks throws it towards the front. Carabelli knocked it down and took a tumble. So it'll be Connor Bertamini who settles things down. Stretch pass to Kirkostas. He'll flip it in. Goes behind the net. Krapinski back to chase. He'll get there first. Plays it up for Carabelli. Leads it. Off for Bankowskis. He has speed. Enters the zone. Works to the outside. Taking it behind the net. Stays with it. Tries to flip it to the point. Nobody there. Kirkostas rescues it. Nice play though by Carabelli. Enters the zone. Has Banks in the middle. Pulls up and he'll send it around behind the net through the kick plate. Pressure on the ice is Ryan Rowland. The defenseman pinching in. Loses it. And Kirkostas rescues it. A break the other way. And a nice defensive play on the back check by Friedman, but he's going to get a penalty.
Way.
Looked like a clean hit from up here, but the trailing official disagrees. And I believe Friedman will take a seat for 2 minutes, and it'll be elbowing.
I'm shocked here because you've got, I mean, that's just tough. When I've got a referee who's on top of the play not have the call, and the referee who's 2 zones away make the call, that to me that's tough. I mean, I wish that's one of those where you'd wish the referee get together. You can see the referee right there on the replay, guys. Just no call, would continue with play. Didn't even flinch like he wanted to make a call, and unfortunately for the Beacons, he gets called from the other zone. Not only the neutral zone, all the way down. It looked like in their offensive zone. Tough call.
Frustrating for the Beacons, so the Falcons back to the power play. Risk tried to play it over. Nice play by Andy Walker. Got his stick on it back to center.
And that's one where, as a coaching staff, you have to be okay with, right? You've got a scoring opportunity. What to me looked like a great defensive play. Even with the penalty, I'd still call it a great defensive play. And you've got to be all right with that as a coaching staff. These are the ones you want to kill off.
Nice move by Andy Walker, but he loses his stick as the Beacons PK. A chance, shorthanded. Duncan took it to the net, but it was sticked away, and now Gagnon back the other way. Leaves it for Kirkostas as they enter. Wrist, plays it in front. Gagnon on the doorstep, and Best may have got a pad on it.
He did. Another stop. He's on his key game tonight.
Ignazito dancing with it. Up top to Wrist, back to Ignazito. Cross ice for Gagnon. Wrist, back to Ignazito. His shot, off the crossbar. And it goes to Gagnon, who had trouble with it. Bankowskis, a breakaway shorthanded. He's in alone. Bankowskis in, save by the netminder Bateman. Got it with his blocker.
Oh, Bankowskis again. He's crafty when it comes to being shorthanded. He's had a lot of opportunities in his career shorthanded. He's got the speed, wasn't able to capitalize there.
A strong penalty kill thus far for the Beacons. 30 seconds approaching on the power play for the Falcons as they change up. Cross ice pass, Tim Manning enters the zone, working it on the near side. He'll curl back. Goes to Cook at the point. TDD over for Michaels. His shot, blockered away by Best to the far corner. Andy Walker has it. He'll exit the zone himself. Takes it through center, tried to get it to Carabelli. Here's Michaels, back the other way. Final 10 of the power play. Michaels shovels it towards the front, goes wide. That one sent back behind the net. Bogan's there. Seconds ticking off. We're back to 5 aside. The Beacons kill off the penalty. Walker tries to chip it past center ice, but Cook was there. That one played through the middle, just out of the reach of Friedman, who just exited the box. Now Cook through center ice. He'll bring it in. Cook waits, leaves it off for Kerwin, but Friedman was there, and he'll steal it. Friedman chips it behind his own net. Uses the far boards to get it to Manzo. He'll move it ahead for Clifton. Clifton has Friedman. They score! What a pass by Corey Clifton, and Grady Friedman finishes it off, and the Beacons go ahead 2-0.
Tremendous play by Clifton there to not only corral the puck, but have the wherewithal to recognize where his F2 and his F3 were going to be. And he kind of didn't really even look to the net. He knew he was going to make that pass. He just wanted to make sure he was putting it in a spot where it could get one time. Sure enough, he did. That's right where Friedman can just hammer it right in the sweet spot. No chance for Bateman to make that save. And a great play by 10 and 18 to give themselves, their team, a 2-0 lead.
So the Beacons grabbed the 2-goal lead yesterday in the second period, and they do it again here today as they go ahead 2-0 this time. Yesterday it was 3-1, but a beautiful goal there as Grady Friedman gets his 5th of the season.
Well, this top line producing for the Beacons here tonight, but again, I got to go back to the goaltender Best making a couple key saves to keep this thing at 0 and allow his team to find a way. And like we talked about in our pregame, when they get opportunities, they have to capitalize. Another chance here, that's blocked. But when this Beacons team gets an opportunity offensively, they've got to find ways to capitalize, and you're seeing that here tonight. They're doing just that.
Bateman went on a bit of an adventure there. Fortunate that the Beacons weren't able to collect clean possession, as now Coleman has it back at the neutral zone. Chipped in. Bateman sticks it over for his defenseman Farrell on the far side. He'll play it up looking for Manning. Goes past him. No icing though. He may have got a piece of it. Keegan exits the zone looking for Manzo on a stretch pass. Takes off the boards. Manzo throws it towards goal. Rebound Clifton out of midair. Loose puck in front. Still loose. Clifton swoops in. Has it. Takes it towards the middle out at the top. Loses an edge. Kirkostas back the other way now. He has speed. Working against Keegan. Hits the late man, wrist, the shot, blocked there. What an effort by Ryan Rowland getting a piece of it, and it goes up and out of play.
Captain with a great block there. That was a 3-on-2 down low. We'll take a look at this replay real quick. Nice block by Rowland, but just take a look at this nice little pass there, and watch Clifton just kind of pull up and wait for his forward there. and then just makes the pass. I mean, that's a pretty tight window. You've got someone coming in full speed with a defender with back pressure right behind him there. So you've got to really get that pass. It's a very small window. You got to hit it with a little bit of zip, a little bit of pepper on it. Clifton did just that, and Friedman didn't miss. Was able to get his legs underneath it and give his team a 2-0 lead.
Perfect execution there by UMass. That gives them the 2-goal lead, as now the puck back behind their own net. Ryan Bogan backhands it ahead for Matthews. Matthews banks it off the boards, but it goes right on the stick of Cook, who sends it back in. As Anderson back out there after serving his 10-minute misconduct that came in the first period. Ty Matthews now. He has speed on the far side. Backhand shovels it in, but it is behind the red line and ruled icing, so the face-off back in the UMass zone.
That's such a key block there earlier from Roland there on that 3-on-2, right? Your team goes up 2-0. Last thing you want to do is give that right back, and was able to get, I think it was his elbow. Pucks deflects up, and it's just those little things that help you win a hockey game, right? A timely block, a timely save. You hear those phrases a lot. That was evidence of it right there.
Andy Walker on the face-off, but it's won by Ignazito. That shot goes wide, goes into the near corner. Flipped around by Luke James. Ryan Bogan gets there first, though. He'll backhand it back to center. Hit the linesman. Matthews able to grab it. Matthews working one-on-one. Nice move. Forehand to backhand. Couldn't finish it. And the puck goes to the near corner. Tied up. This is a rugby scrum. Puck comes out loose. Finally, Matthews with it. Matthews dancing. Cuts towards the middle. Plays it for Coleman at the point. Coleman waits. Goes D to D. That shot thrown on goal by DeLuzio gets blocked. Now back the other way is Gagnon. Gagnon tries to center it for James. Big collision by Coleman, and both of them go to the ice. Now Bankowskis with speed on the far side. He'll go through the neutral zone. Hitting the defenseman DeLuzio on the wing. He'll throw it towards goal, and a glove save by Bateman for a whistle. 11:19 to go here in the second period.
Well, if the Beacons could take what just happened there and that quick, 15, 20 seconds here, I think their record would be a lot better than it was. You saw defensively doing well once again to disrupt the flow. Took two players out and then a quick rush down the other side. Bankowskis with a quick pass to DeLuzio with a quick shot on net. I think if this Beacons team does that more often, they're going to find a lot of success here in the second half.
Puck goes to the far side as trying to set that one in was Ryan Rowland. Is now back the other way. Kerwin enters the zone. Gets chipped behind the net. Goes right to Banks, though, in the far corner. Tries to backhand it ahead. Was intercepted. That one thrown on goal and stick to the corner by Best. Pat Keegan with it now. Keegan looking to headman it up ice. Gets it to Banks on the far wing. Keegan joining the rush. Carabelli on the far side. Thrown on goal. Pat saved by Bateman. And another chance in front. Looked like a set play there. Perhaps a rebound for Carabelli, but Bateman just did a good job of not letting it get out too far. Sent back in as Bordeaux will chase. He gets there first. Gets tied up by Farrell. Guggens comes in, picks up the loose puck. Guggens wheels to the backhand, looking for a centering play to Moran, and it got disrupted by Pattison. Another centering pass attempt by Bordeaux from behind the net, doesn't get through. As behind the net there was Bertamini. He'll backhand it, but not out. Moran has it, leaves it off for Guggens. Guggens shoots it from a strange area, and it's gloved and held by Bateman.
It's been a pretty good tilt here halfway through the hockey game, 2-0. This Albertus Magnus team is starting to wonder. This is a team that's used to scoring upwards of 3 goals a game. Halfway through here, hasn't been able to find one yet, and I think it's a culmination of really good goaltending from Best. I think he's looked strong here tonight, but I think defensively, Beacons are being more responsible in their own zone, and that's something we didn't see too much of in the first half.
Moran able to win that face-off, and it's sent back behind the net for Moran. Browning dancing with it at the far point. Throws it towards goal off of Manning's legs, back to center. Bogan chips it for Guggens. He'll backhand it high in the air, and it goes off of the kick blade behind the net. Now back the other way, but not very far, as Bogan was there in the neutral zone to send it ahead for the Beacons. Tied up now as that one's sent in by Ryan Bogan once again, this time all the way behind the net. Bateman out to play it. Heavy hit there by Manzo on risk at the end boards. That one chipped back behind the net. Clifton gets there first, gets it to Manzo. He'll stick it over for Friedman. Now Coleman up top. His shot blockered away by Bateman. Now Bogan sends it back behind the net. Manzo with it. Gets it to the front, off a skate. And Bateman able to find it and cover for a whistle with 9:09 to go. Past the halfway point here of this one.
This first line looks good. If I'm Coach Blyle and this coaching staff, I'm going to try to get them out as much as possible here for the remainder of this second period. I think every time they're out, they just seem to be creating opportunities for themselves. You can see there, nothing really too challenging for Bateman, but they're just around the net, passing across, finding each other. It just seems like they have it going tonight.
Beacons control momentarily, but sent back the other way as Waitsman had a chance, but stonewalled there by the Beacons and sent back in. Clifton on the forecheck. Now Manzo jumping in. That one played out towards the middle. Friedman gets it down low, stays with it, gets it to the forehand. His shot may have hit a stick in front and goes up and out of play. Not sure if that ever got through to Bateman.
Yeah, and again, just the first line, a little bit of a turnover there, but next thing you know, it's a little bit of mini 2-on-1 in front of the net. You got Clifton stationed in front, and Albertus Magnus has to make a fantastic defensive play to deflect that puck up. Otherwise, Friedman was kind of backing away from the slot. It looked like he had some net there on the blocker side. And that's about as close as you can get there. That first line really has their mojo working tonight, Andrew.
Yeah, and the puck retrieval game as well for the Beacons has been spectacular thus far, especially in the offensive zone, as Andy Walker able to win that draw. Now Coleman out top. His shot deflects and goes into the near corner. Battling there was Matthews. Gets it back for Coleman. Matthews staying with it. Out towards the blue line. Loses it. Now back the other way is Anderson. Anderson, his shot off the mask of Best. And the rebound was sitting there, but Krapinski picks it up. He tries to move it the other way. Now through the neutral zone. Ty Matthews has Krapinski going to goal. And it fungos in the air, goes to the end boards. And a heavy collision there as Krapinski goes down. And he's grabbing his head. And that looked dangerous.
Yeah, major contact there. I hope he's all right. Ed Perkins on his way to the corner. Major contact behind the net. No penalty. I didn't see referees talking about it now. I didn't see too much, Andrew. Did you? I was a little bit away from the play. The puck had already moved out of the zone, so it was a little bit behind the play. Referees talking about it.
I saw the collision. It was Krapinski going hard into the boards. Didn't see how the contact was initiated as I was watching the puck. But as you said, the officials discussing it over. Krapinski down, and we're going to step aside here and take a quick break. We'll be back on the Beacons Broadcast Network. And welcome back here at Edward T. Berry Ice Rink. Andrew Bluestein, Matt Meisenbacher with you on the Beacons Broadcast Network as we just saw a scary incident where Michael Krapinski left the ice. As we're going to see a replay of the collision here.
Yeah, and you can see here, it's, from my vantage point, a clean hit. Does he come up a little bit? Perhaps, but I think that's just two players going for the puck there. I think really what resulted in is the contact was high on his chest, near his pectorals, and the force of the hit caused to the back of his head to hit the glass.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. You can see it right there.
So for me, that's a clean hit. It's unfortunate, you know, and Krapinski clearly not all right. You know, he's off. He's being tended to. He was able to get up. I know we take a break in these situations for obvious reasons. for those that might be concerned, he was able to get up and off the ice on his own power. He's being tended to by the training staff right now, so we don't want to speculate too much. But to me, and let's see if we get a penalty here. I mean, the refs have spent a lot of time talking about it. They obviously don't have the power of replay like we do. To me, this is a good no call as it stands. But let's see as they continue to talk about it. It looks like there's some frustration on the Falcons side, so we'll have to wait and see what goes up on the board. But what do you think, Andrew? From my vantage point, it looked like a pretty good hit.
Well, we'll look at it again here.
And they're going to give him a 5. So they are seeing some head contact there.
And I'm with you, Mizey. I think it was just more of, it wasn't the hit itself, it was the fact that Krapinski's head went into the glass, which made it look worse than it was. As you can see, Kyle Wallach very frustrated with the officials, and rightfully so in this situation.
That's tough. That's tough for me. Now, I think, again, the view on the ice is always a little bit different. That being said, it happens in real speed. What you don't want to have are referees making calls based on the result, right? And I'm not saying that's the case here. I'm just saying we have seen cases like that in hockey games. For me, a 5-minute major seems excessive. I didn't see an elbow. I didn't see a shoulder make direct contact with the head. So I think at most a minor. I think 5 is excessive here. I really didn't see that as a 5-minute major. But, again, there's always – I leave room for error because as the referee or even a linesman is down there and sees something different, they do have the ability to discuss and have a little bit of a conference. Perhaps seeing something I didn't see, if that elbow came up a little bit more than we thought, that can generate a 5. But I think here a 5-minute major is a pretty strict sentence for something that really just is more of just a hockey play, in my opinion.
Yeah, we just want to reiterate that obviously the most important thing is that Michael Krapinski is okay, and he did skate off under his own power. You can see him, looks like he's heading to the dressing room now. And I was going to say one more thing on that hit, Mizey, is the one thing you may have looked at, it's hard to tell from the angles we have, but perhaps did the player leave his feet going into the hit, which is also a no-no in hockey.
It's a good point. Yeah. And again, I didn't see, based on the replays we have, I didn't really see any of that. I think this is one of those where perhaps a referee maybe saw the elbow, or like you said, maybe he elevated a little bit. It's tough because you don't want to take the physicality out of the sport. It's a necessary part of the sport. It becomes a totally different. It's pond hockey without that type of physicality. So I think you want to have this type of physicality in the game, but also keeping players safe. So if there was something egregious that the referee saw, they have every right to call a major here. I just think the Albertus Magnus has every right to kind of challenge this call, because what we saw just didn't seem like definitely not a major, at most a minor, if not just a clean hockey play. And they're gonna get 7. They added another, so there's a minor and a major here. And I'm curious what the call is going to be. I don't know how they end up with 7 minutes of power play time.
Well, perhaps maybe a bench minor, as we can see that head coach Kyle Wallach clearly visibly upset. Maybe he earned himself an extra 2 is the only thing I can think of.
Well, the referees they owe him an explanation here. The referees are still talking about it. And you don't want to get on the refs here. It can be I can tell by the hand motion. So it's going to be a 5-on-3 for 2 minutes. The referees owe him a little bit of an explanation. And he's carrying on a little bit, so they might tax him more on here if he doesn't calm down in a minute.
I haven't seen a signal yet, but I wonder if he's already been tossed from the game.
It's possible. He's carrying on pretty good here, and yeah. So wow, They really.
But he has a case, and you understand. So as you see, Kyle Wallach, his 4th season, 29 wins, 29 losses.
And looks like I'm sorry. Someone's getting tossed here. Cook is getting tossed, I think. So that's a 5 in a game. They really threw the book at him here. 5 and a 10. And then, again, I'm not really sure where the extra minor came from. Unless it's a 2, 5, and a 10, and someone's got to serve the minor. I'm really not sure. But and this is a heavy price to pay. And Beacons with a golden opportunity to really walk away with this one.
After all that, the Beacons have a opportunity on a silver platter here to extend the lead. Clifton gets it to Coleman up top. 5-on-3 for the Beacons. Friedman steps into one. That gets blocked by Henry. Goes to the far side. Clifton gets it to Coleman. Over for Friedman. dancing with it. Back to Coleman, far side. Now Friedman, his shot off of Moran in front. Gets back to Coleman. Over to Friedman. Friedman takes it back towards the blue line. Over to Coleman. Coleman down low on the far side to Clifton. Cross ice. Friedman back to Coleman. Coleman, the head fake. Down low to Clifton. Back to Coleman. Now Friedman tries to chip it down low and able to get it to Manzo. Up top to Coleman. Coleman back to Friedman. Working it in. His shot gets blocked. Beacons stay with it. Coleman takes the shot. Takes it to the outside. Switches with Clifton. Clifton now with it up top. Takes it towards the middle. His shot hits a stick and goes in on the netminder Bateman, and he's able to freeze it for a whistle. 59 seconds left to go on the 5-on-3.
And just to clear things up, so they finally made the announcement here. So it was a 5 in a game for contact to the head. It was the original penalty. The 2 was indeed a bench minor. So they did, you were exactly right, Andrew. They did give him the extra 2 for carrying on a little bit there. And that's just to close the book on that little play there. Beacons again generating some good possession here on this 5-on-3.
So now the second unit out there is Walker. As that shot from the point from Guggens gets blockered away. Now Matthews with it. Gets it down low for Walker. Walker back to Ty Matthews, who's at the faceoff dot. He'll circle back. He'll switch with Walker. Walker looks to goal. Now gets it up top. Rowland over to Guggens. Back to Rowland. Got disrupted by Michaels. Rowland able to get there. Gets it down low for Duncan. Duncan, good puck protection there. Gets it to Guggens on the far side. Now Rowland towards the goal. Cross ice to Walker. Walker shot deflected in front by Duncan, and Bateman able to smother it for a whistle. 21 seconds to go on the 5-on-3.
Well, one of the things they're doing well is the Beacons are moving the puck high-low, laterally, left to right. The one thing that they're missing is that Bateman is seeing all this, and he's a pretty big goaltender. Not quite sure what his dimensions are listed at, but he's taken up a pretty good size of the net there. Listed at, looks like 5'11", is that correct? No, it's...
Yes, he's listed at 5'11".
5'11", he looks bigger than that.
And I'd agree, as Coleman, his shot, he scores! Blake Coleman off the faceoff. And the Beacons execute on the 5-on-3 and go ahead 3-0. And they still have an all-you-can-eat power play after this.
Well, Coleman was due. He saw in the first period on the power play, he got 2 blocked and he missed the net on 1. And this time, he was sure to get that puck through. That thing was labeled, posted in. You can see the celebration. He knew he had that one. And the Beacons with a 3-0 lead.
So the Beacons take advantage of a golden opportunity and still have just over 3 minutes of a major power play. They can score at will as Clifton now has it. He'll take it through center. He'll enter the zone. Stays with it. Tried to get it towards the net, and it's chipped into the corner. Now centering pass. Moran's shot hits a stick in front, goes wide. Kerwin tries to spring Ignazito on a shorthanded grid, but that one gets disrupted as Friedman will play it around to Coleman. Now Moran, past center ice. Moran tries to dance through to the offensive zone, stays with it. Backhands it, but nobody there, and it goes to space. Friedman out to center to get it. He'll bring it right back in. Friedman leaving it off for Manzo. Manzo protects the puck. Friedman with it. Plays it to Coleman. Coleman another bid. Rebound off the block attempt. His shot again goes wide. Manzo stays with it in the corner. Hill has it. Goes cross ice for Clifton. Clifton towards goal. His shot. Blocked away by Bateman. Loose in the crease, and it's cleared out all the way down the river. And the Beacons will get a change, as do the Falcons. Coleman tries to start it up. Gives it to Andy Walker, and the Beacons will regroup. Coleman leaving it off for Guggens. 1:56 to go on the power play. A major penalty. Guggens, nice move to the outside. Centers it looking for Matthews. It was disrupted. And coming out with it is Albertus Magnus, and they'll send it the length of the rink in on Sam Best. Ryan Rowland now looking to start things the other way. Gets it to Matthews with speed. He'll enter the zone. Matthews working down the near side. Pulls up. Gets it to Guggens on the half wall. Centering pass. And nobody home as Pattison got there and sends it all the way down. Approaching 1:20 to go on the power play. A bit of a miscommunication there as it goes back in on Sam Best. Ryan Rowland from behind his own net, starts things the other way. Googans tried to send it back, and it goes in on Sam Best. As another miscommunication here, the Beacons having a hard time breaking out of their own end.
Well, yeah, the forwards got to come down lower, and they're just asking too much of their D right now. You can see, and they're getting a little bit of a change here, but you got to come down lower, help your team out on this breakout.
Manzo through center, gets it to Friedman. He'll enter. Friedman holds up, has it on the half wall, tries to reverse it. A chance for Gagnon, shorthanded the other way. Gagnon and shoots, blocker saved by Best.
Another big save. He's been doing it all night. Just dialed in.
Another big save by Sam Best. Final 30 seconds of this Beacons power play. Coleman on the far side, flips it in. Goes around behind the net. Bateman went out, but it went too far. Moran being bothered as Friedman sends it in, but it came out, so the Beacons have to tag up. Final 10 seconds of this power play, and it looks as if the Falcons will kill it off.
Well, if Best gives that one up shorthanded, you could expect this Falcons team to be all the way back into this hockey game, but instead a blocker save as this goes for icing. A blocker save there, keeping it 3-0, continuing to frustrate this Falcon team. And you talk about timely saves, not only are these of A grade, but just continuously making stops that are really about as taxing as it gets as a goaltender, making it look relatively easy and giving his team this continued momentum, this continued confidence. I think the game as it stands right now at 3-0 really has been built out from the net, and the goaltending of Sam Best has really been a difference in this hockey game.
So the Beacons take an icing. Falcons control that one, thrown on goal by Kirkostas and gloved once again by Sam Best, who saw it all the way.
Beacons got 3:05 left here in the second period. You're up 3-0 here. The last thing you want to do is give any type of life to this Falcons team. You know they just killed off a major penalty. You're only able to score once, which is fine, but now you've got to be focused on defending. You want to take at least a 3-0 lead into the locker room here. Everything that's happened in the second period, you really are going to make it a tall task, only leaving 20 minutes left if you can clear the rest of the second period.
And that one won by the Falcons. That shot goes wide, back the other way. Andy Walker with speed, enters the zone. Has Matthews going to the net, try to get it to him, but it goes behind him. Now back the other way. Weitzman gets it to Kirkostas, near side. He'll stop. Kirkostas waiting. Goes it across for wrist. The defenseman walking in. His shot gets blocked by Matthews. Duncan the other way has Ryan Bogan, but the Beacons at the end of a long shift are tired and they'll head off for a change. Now Risk out of his own end. 2:30 to go in this second period. Kirkostas tries to get through Pat Keegan, but Keegan held his ground. Now Owen Bordeaux brings it in, leaves it for Googans. Googans, a shot, blocker save Bateman. Googans gets the rebound. Gets it for Moran. Moran behind the net. Moran on his backhand now, back to his forehand. Moran on the far side, gets it to Roland at the point. Centering pass for Moran. Nice play, and the puck is not tied up, and a quick whistle there.
The referee lost sight of it.
Well, the officials do owe Albertus Magnus a few breaks.
They owe him something.
Yeah.
They owe him something. They would probably argue differently, but still 2 minutes left in this period, and this is a Falcons team with all that pent-up anger, feeling as though you've been slighted in this hockey game. The best thing you can do is try to get one on the scoreboard. Get that 0 off and see what you can do here in the third.
Nice play by Keegan initially to keep it in, and then it was whacked back to center and sent right back in. Manzo to Friedman, his shot. Got the glove of Bateman, goes behind the net. Kerwin chips it up. Nice play though by Friedman, able to steal it. Stays with it, takes it to the near corner. Friedman being bothered there as the puck goes behind the net as Nick Derlia plays it ahead. And that one gets stonewalled by Roland and then sent in to the penalty bench, so a whistle and the face-off will be in the Beacon zone.
Be interested to see, still a minute 30 left in this period, but really interested to see what we get in this third period, right? Because it's still a hockey game, 3-0. I mean, we've seen crazier things happen and team come back, so it's really not out of hand just yet, but I think there's a lot of pent-up frustration just taking a look at some of these Falcon players, taking a look at the coaching staff and some of the body language on the bench. I'll be curious to see how aggressive this the remainder of this hockey game is.
Falcons win the draw As Farrell threw one towards goal, it was blocked. Farrell has it again. He'll send it down the kick blade. Behind the net, as Luke James is there, he gets stapled against the board by DeLuzio. Still tied up. Coleman digging away as well. DeLuzio comes out with it. He'll play it off the glass and back to center. Bankowskis with speed, but Farrell got there first. Now Banks has it. Banks tried to wheel it in and hit off the skate of Bankowskis. Final minute of the second period. Henry brings it in. Nice play behind his back off the boards. Stays with it. Sends it down low. Tyler Ignazito with it. Tries to get it to James down low. As that's cycled back to the near side, now in the corner. Henry one-hands it for Gagnon behind the net. Being bothered by DeLuzio. Final 30 seconds now. Banks, as that one sent back to the point. That one fired into the body of DeLuzio, and he'll chip it out of play. And a whistle. And
puck went out of play. Beacons aren't going to be allowed to change. Now they're going to say that puck was sent out intentionally, which in other areas of the game, it'd be a minor. But in this case, it's a lot less of a penalty. You're just not allowed to change. Still big, though, this Falcons team is allowed to change. So they got fresh players on the ice, and they win the draw.
Final 20 seconds. Risk up top with it. Takes it towards the middle. Shovels it over to Gagnon. That shot through the bodies in front, but Sam Best able to find it and glove it for a whistle with 12 seconds to go.
That's huge, right? Now you get a change if you're the Beacons. You got to put your best center out there. It looks like it'll be Andy Walker. So they should have a very good idea of what they want to run on this power play. Now it just becomes righty-lefty. Who am I up against?
So the face-off to the right of Sam Best in the final 12 seconds of the second period.
It's not Walker.
With Mike Manzo in the face-off circle.
Surprised.
He's able to win it. Goes to the far side. Final 10 now. One more chance perhaps as that one goes off the linesman's skate.
That's another break for the Beacons.
Even more favors done by the officials for the Beacons, and that will end it here in the second.
Yeah, that's I'm surprised they're not more upset about that. I mean, they've got possession there. They're trying to get something done here at the end of the second period there. The linesman goes off his skate. I mean, that's a relatively routine play there. But nothing from the Falcons. They've probably extended a lot of energy already getting on these referees. 3-0 hockey game here after two. Beacons up and look pretty good. I mean, they've done some things here tonight we haven't seen a lot of, at least consistently, for the majority of the season here. I think offensively they've looked strong. That first line has been the best that we've seen all year, I think, hands down. And I think defensively they've got a goaltender who's completely dialed in. They've blocked some shots. They've disrupted the flow of what the offense is trying to create on the Falcons side. There's a lot to like if you're this Beacons hockey team. But again, like we talked about, still 3-0. I'll be curious here what the Falcons do. If they're considering this game well and done and they're going to come out here, try to throw their weight around a little bit and get a little bit more of a pride victory, or if they're going to say, hey, we've got 20 minutes here, still down 3. Again, they're a 3 or more goal a game team, so this is still within range of statistically what they're able to do. I'll be curious to see what we get from their squad coming out here for the final 20.
Well, that will do it for our second period action as the Beacons once again extend their lead, now lead at 3-0. And we'll head to break and be back shortly to go over the second period scoring summary and game stats. Once again, Andrew Bluestein, Matt Meisenbacher here with you on the Beacons Broadcast Network. We'll be right back.
Passion's love. Passion is love for what you do. Because I think when you face challenges, it comes down to how much you want it and how much you love it. Passion is what keeps you going forward. Seeing so many people that were like-minded and so hardworking in their sport and academics, being surrounded by like-minded people makes you want to be more passionate. I think it pushes you to a different level that maybe you didn't think you had, and you can do the best of both worlds and love all of it.
Proportion to me is the lived experience of our Division III student athletes. They balance life from an academic perspective and the rigors of competing at a high level, bonding with teammates and building lifelong friendships. But they also are involved in their communities. They work jobs and internships and volunteer. They've learned to be resilient. Diverse experiences are setting them up for the future.
Passion's love.
Proportion to me is the lived experience of our Division III student athletes. They balance life from an academic perspective and the rigors of competing at a high level, bonding with teammates and building lifelong friendships. But they also are involved in their communities. They work jobs and internships and volunteer. They've learned to be resilient. Diverse experiences are setting them up for the future.
The 5-campus UMass system is the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
Responsibility is being accountable for your words and actions, first and foremost. It also is an obligation to be a positive influence in the communities around you. Being in a D3 program, you're going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not just an athlete, you're also involved in student life. Your academics are extremely important. We give a lot of our student athletes responsibilities right from the start by giving them leadership opportunities, by having them engage in the community, be a positive influence. That's being a responsible person.
I believe sportsmanship is it's a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
Welcome back inside Edward T. Berry Ice Rink for the 57th annual Codfish Bowl Tournament Championship game. UMass Boston leading Albertus Magnus 3-0 going into the third period. As we take a look at our scoring summary, Corey Clifton opened the scoring, grabbing his third of the year from Grady Friedman and Mike Manzo. Then Grady Friedman getting his fifth of the season from Clifton and Manzo again. And then Blake Coleman, his first of the season on a 5-on-3 power play. And Mike Manzo grabbing his third assist on that goal. And that's where we stand heading into the third as we now take a look at our game stats up to this point. Shots on goal, once again, Mizey, you talked about the shot mentality at the end of the first period. Beacons with a leading margin of 29-19 have 10 shots ahead of the Falcons. And would you like to see them keep doing that with this 3-goal lead going forward?
I was going to say a 5-minute major certainly helps your shots on goal total.
That
but
is very true.
But, you know, the point still remains. Yeah, I think this team has found ways to generate some offense here tonight. For me, it's that first line. I mean, you take a look at 18, 17, and 10. A goal and an assist, for Friedman, and a goal and an assist. Manzo 3 assists and a goal and an assist for Clifton. We talked about how pretty that second play was. Clifton, that cross-ice pass for Friedman for the one-timer, and I think that really changed the tone. I think this Beacons team, we've seen over the course of the season, is a little timid, right? And if the Falcons had found a way to tie that thing up at 1, it could have gone a completely different direction. The Beacons go up 2-0. Then the debate on the major, was it a penalty, was it not? Did they deserve to kick him out? Obviously, it doesn't matter now. What's happened is already done, and the Beacons capitalized on that. So I think offensively they found ways to score. But again, for me, it's really started with their goaltender. I think Sam Best, this is probably the best he's played all year. He's consistently making saves, seems to be completely dialed in here tonight, and just frustrating this Falcons team. They no matter what they throw at him, Best is finding ways to come up with it. So I think it's amazing what a strong goaltending performance can do, and I think this Beacons team is finally starting to have some confidence on the offensive side of the puck.
And the numbers would certainly back up Sam Best's play of late. He's got his goals against average back under 3 and has a .904 save percentage. As you mentioned, once again, he made a few big saves here in this one as we look at the faceoffs. Once again, tied up after 2 periods. 19 apiece. And the power play, Beacons obviously, as we talked about, getting a silver platter, perhaps a late Christmas gift with that 5-minute major, and then the 5-on-3 on top of it for 2 minutes, able to capitalize there. But the Beacons power play heating up nonetheless. The Falcons 0 for 3, and there you see the penalties. But Mizey, let me ask you, we talked about this off air. If you're Albertus Magnus, what is your mindset? How do you stay focused and try to brush off the fact that you were probably wrongfully gifted or handed a 5-minute major, a match penalty in that 5-on-3 situation?
Quite frankly, I think the coaching staff emotions got the best of them, right? Your coach is supposed to be the one that calms things down. Players are really allowed to get emotional, but when you see a coach get emotional like that and take an additional penalty on top of the major that was called, it's really hard for him to go into the room now and demand discipline from his team. The only thing they can do, and again, this game is still in reach. This is a team that can find ways to score. I think the only thing you can do is have a master reset, coaching staff included. If I'm the coaching staff, I'm going in hand up saying, guys, I got just as emotional as you are, but you can see how invested I am in you guys being able to come back into this hockey game. So I think there's still a lot of hockey to be played. I wouldn't be surprised if this Falcon team comes out flying. You can use something like that to your advantage, that penalty, Cook getting tossed. You can kind of say, hey, our backs are up against the wall. We've got to do something here. We've got to find a way to respond, and the best thing you can do is, again, getting that 0 off the board. It starts with 1, but I think got to find a way to turn essentially a negative into a positive here. Otherwise, the Beacons are going to walk out of here with a victory.
Well, that'll wrap up our second intermission coverage here inside Edward T. Barry Ice Rink. Again, it's the 57th annual Codfish Bowl Championship game. The UMass Boston Beacons leading the Albertus Magnus Falcons 3-0 heading into the third period. Andrew Boosty and Matt Meisenbacher here with you. We'll be back for third period action on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
UMass Boston women's basketball at home taking on New England College. The Beacons looking to get back on track after losing to Eastern Connecticut State University over the weekend and only shooting 19% from the floor. Paige Olivier would help get the Beacons in front with a three-pointer in that layup right there, 7-6. Beacons would jump out to a 13-6 advantage before Lara Matthias would go on an 8-0 run of her own, hitting 2 3-pointers from just about the same spot, and then on the very next play, going in for the layup right here to help give New England College a 14-13 advantage late in the first quarter. But then the Beacons would score on this fast break with Sabela Jensen, and then they would go up for good in this game. Not to say that the game was close, though, and down to the wire. Right here from Dixon lays it up and in to give the Beacons a 1-point advantage. Sunny Green had herself a day. Hits that 3 from the left side to help put the Beacons up by 5, and then Meg Dixon with the layup in the middle of the paint helps put them up by 7. Sunny Green then, once again with a 3, just steps back on her defender, nails it from the top of the key. And then in the second half, the Beacons up by 7. Meg Dixon from the corner hits a 3. And then right after that, Carrie-Ann Farina is going to hit this left side jumper to help put the Beacons up by 12. They'd lead by as many as 14 in the contest. And then Sabela Jensen here on the fast break layup puts the Beacons up by 11. They looked like they're in full control. This would be the turning point as Macy Gordon is fouled by Carrie-Ann Farina, which would send her to the line for 3 free throws. She'd hit 2 of them and then miss the third. Ball gets hit around. New England College maintains possession. Gordon in the corner hits this 3. It becomes a 6-point game heading into the fourth. Beacons would go back up by 9, and then Erica Pratt with the steal helps make it a 7-point deficit for the Pioneers, and then Macy Gordon hits the right side 3. It's now a 4-point game. Sunny Green would look to put the dagger in it for the Beacons, hits this jumper, makes it a 9-point game with 2:45 remaining. And then Meg Dixon hitting this free throw would make it a 7-point game with just over 30 seconds left. But then Mackenzie McDonald would be the scorer for the Pioneers.
And welcome back inside Edward T. Barry Ice Rink, 57th Annual Codfish Bowl Championship. Third period action just about to get underway. Beacons with a 3-0 lead going into this third period. Mizey, what's the game plan for the Beacons going into this third period? Do you stay on the attack? Do you kind of play conservative a little bit? What do you do?
I would assume that these referees are going to be looking at every little thing that the Beacons are doing, right? Because regardless of how you feel about the penalty, if you dole out a 5 and a 10, you got to find a way to try and reciprocate that at least a little bit. And referees might not want to admit it, but it is true. So if you're the Beacons, you got to be careful. Every little stick, every little hit, just got to make sure you're by the book.
Linesman gives the signal, and we're set for puck drop in the third period, and we're underway. And Antoniotis able to win the faceoff, sent into the Beacons' end, but Deluzio right there, but he gives it away. Deluzio gets a second chance and still can't get it out. As it goes to the far side, Bailey Kerwin whacked at it. Now the Beacons the other way. Deluzio across the ice to Friedman. Friedman has Clifton going towards the middle, but he opts to flip it on goal for a faceoff as Bateman gloves it. And a quick whistle to start this third period.
And that little play right there, I think for me, if I'm the coaching staff of the Beacons, is what I'm preaching on the bench, right? If I don't have anything, let's not try to force it and try to get too creative here. We've got a 3-goal lead, so if you don't have anything, just throw it on net. Worst thing that happens is exactly what you see here, an in-zone draw. You now force the Falcons to have to defend a little bit or at minimum break out of their own zone.
That one sent the length of the rink, no icing though. Pat Keegan back to get it. He'll rim it around the boards to the far side. And it gets whacked at by Antoniotis. He'll chip it behind the net. Keegan gets there first. Keegan backhands it off the boards and all the way back in to the Falcons' end. Bateman out of his net. He'll play it on the forehand. Looking for risk, the defenseman. He turns it over. Ty Matthews with it behind the net. Stops on the backhand, goes the other way. Nice job, though, by Michaels as he'll pick his pocket and pick it back through center and flip it in. Pat Keegan there again behind the net. Nice move there by Keegan to reverse it back the other way towards Matthews. Matthews tries to whack it ahead, stays with it, chips it ahead, but James was there. Gagno with a chance. As that one got disrupted by Keegan. Back the other way, Duncan. As fresh off the bench there was Derlia. He'll play it back up. Now Risk brings it back in. Gagno with it, gets it to James. James walks towards the goal, towards the crease now. Puck still loose. Finally a whistle goes and another scrumble in front of the net as the linesman will step in and break up that tension.
Puck was pretty close to going in. It didn't seem like it was anywhere near the line, but still, anytime that puck is kind of floating around the blue paint, it's cause for concern. Referees and the goaltender Best didn't seem overly concerned, but I think probably the Beacons coaching staff was holding their breath for a little while.
Saw one of those earlier in the game. I believe it was in the first period, and it ended up in a Tyler Ignazito minor penalty, but no calls there. That one goes towards the middle. Bertamini goes to the far side to Kirkostas. Back to Bertamini, shot. Blocker saved by Best through traffic. Goes behind the net. Tied up was Weitzman. Now Moran. Back the other way come the Beacons. Moran gets it to Bordeaux. Bordeaux tried to throw it towards goal. It was blocked by Derlia. Now back the other way. Weitzman, heavy hit by Guggens against the glass. Anderson now has a chance. His shot gets blocked. Goes into the corner. Weitzman plays it around to Kirkostas on the far side. Kirkostas throws it towards the goal. Deflects through the crease and stayed out.
Just barely. Half a foot, I'd say, from going in.
Now Coleman has it. Takes it behind his own net. Gets it to Moran, who has speed through the neutral zone. He'll opt to just chip it in at the end of a long shift, and the Beacons change it up. That one played ahead quickly. Weitzman at the end of a long shift himself will just chip it in. Gagnon first on it there. Or rather, that is Chiocci. Now to the far side. That one's dumped in by Herpy. As rescued by Pat Keegan. Keegan behind the net. Chips it off glass. Past Herpy's glove as that one will go towards the middle. That one's dumped in by Ryan Rowland. Behind the net is Bateman. Now Tim Manning. Backhands it off the glass, almost out of play. Stays in. Now on the forecheck is Michael Forgione. Played back the other way. As Falcons look to regroup. Risk from behind his own net. Plays it through the middle. That one's chipped in by Kerwin. Ryan Bogan, quick up for Friedman. Has space. Friedman, and the puck got away from him. Wouldn't sit flat.
Just bounced over his blade.
Now puck tied up in the near side corner. Here's Risk playing it cross ice. Nice play by Bogan, but Michaels gets it. Now to Risk, a chance. What a great save by Sam Best. Looked like he got it with the mask, the old Roman Czechmanic strategy, and the puck goes out of play.
Well, one of the things for folks at home, when you see a goaltender that's dialed in like this, you really want to see, are they moving into the save, right? And sometimes when a goaltender's not really seeing it well, they're guessing a little bit, you see a lot of limb saves, right? They're getting it full extension with the pads or with the arms. Not seeing that here with Best. It seems like every time there's a shot on goal, he's moving into the puck. Not really needing, especially for a goaltender on the smaller side, not really needing to extend too much. He's moving into each and every shot, and you can see there, even on a cross, got it with his head, was able to deflect it up into the netting.
Sam Best has experience at the Division I level, played at American International, and you can see why with his performance, not only today, but as of late. Back the other way, Duncan will chip it in, pass Bertamini. Getting there is Delia, but swooping in is Ty Matthews. Absorbing a hit, but is sent through back to neutral zone. Gagnon plays it, middle, chance, and they score! It's Luke James who finishes it off. And the Falcons are on the scoreboard. It's 3-1.
Well, here you go. You've been waiting for it all game. This Falcons team with that speed, and you can see it there on the rush. 3-on-2 was able to get that pass across for a quick little tap 5-hole through Best. One of the things this Beacons team has done well is the back pressure, right, on these rushes with that speed. They've gotten guys back in time, and just you could see there just about a half a stride Duncan was from disrupting that play. So we got a 3-1 hockey game here, folks. Still 15 minutes and change to play. We're going to be in for a good ride here in the third.
So a much-needed goal for Albertus Magnus.
That's going to be a penalty for sure. Anderson's going to go. That's a check from behind.
So the Beacons will have another power play, and not what you want if you're the Falcons.
No doubt about that one. I don't think you're going to get any type of rebuttal from the Falcons bench on this one.
So Luke James, the senior out of Moon Township, Pennsylvania, grabs his first goal of the season.
Yeah, perfect opportunity here to respond if you're the Beacons, right? You just gave up one. Your goaltender's been playing fantastic here tonight. A great response here would be to find a way, if you can't bury one, at least to generate some opportunities offensively, force this Falcons team to defend. Just got to be careful here. This Falcons team, with the speed at which they play, wouldn't be surprised if they try to spring a guy once or twice.
Coleman fires and scores! Blake Coleman gets his second. Another power play goal, and the Beacons get the 3-goal lead back.
Well, it's just a simple face-off play. Right back to the D. Coleman just kind of gets this one towards the net, and it finds its way home. We're going to have to see the replay, maybe perhaps a screen or a redirect. The way Bateman's been playing, I'd be surprised if this beats him clean from that distance. But Coleman here tonight with his second, and amazing when you get pucks through what can happen. Just the response we were talking about, this Beacons team back to a 3-goal lead, 4-1 here in the third.
So the Beacons power play on fire. That's now 5 power play goals in the last 2 games for the Beacons, whose power play was slow to start off the season. Just 3 power play goals going into yesterday's game against Fitchburg State. As that one sent back to center. Risk plays it through the middle, and a big hit by Carabelli, and he might get 5 for that one, as he put an elbow right into the head of Tyler Ignazito, and he's down on the ice.
Well, let's see what they do here. I mean, the referees will probably talk about it, but I agree with you. I mean, they already tossed somebody for less, and we'll have to see.
Yeah, that was a clean elbow to the head. Good to see Ignazito get up on his own power, but Carabelli clearly got the head on that one right at center ice.
He knew it too. And sometimes you try to line somebody up, and if you miscalculate on the delivery even just a little bit, this can be the result. Again, we'll have to take a look at the replay and see if perhaps more than definitely a minor. I'll have to take a look and see if more than that is warranted. Referee's talking about, I'm seeing a 5, so at least it's going to be a 5. And now we're going to see they're talking to the coaching staff, so let's see if he's going to get tossed. It's going to be a 5 for sure. The referee's talking about perhaps Carabelli being done for the night. Majority of his game's already done. 5's not going anywhere.
As you mentioned, Mizey, that one was far worse than what we saw on the hit.
Yeah, I think he's going to be done. Anytime the referee opens the door for you when you're already in the box, that's that's never a good sign. So unfortunately, Carabelli's going to be done for that. That's a 5 and a 10, and I agree with you. I think that one is probably more warranted than the one we saw earlier from Cook. But a huge opportunity here for this Falcon team. A 5-minute major of their own now to try and tie this up.
Deacon's able to win the draw, though, and Coleman sends it all the way down. Bateman out to play it. He'll leave it off for Charles Risk. It's Alex Gagnon on the wing. Now Kirkostas to Ignazito, who's right back out on the ice. Good to see after taking that collision from Carabelli, who has exited the game and is done for the night. As Benkauskas looked down, looked like he was tripped up, but the arms stay down. That one's sent in. Around to the far side. Gagnon lays it down low. Now it's sent back up to the far side. That one's chipped back to center. Beacon's looking
offside
as Ignazito ahead of the play, and the faceoff will come to the neutral zone as 50 seconds about ticked off on the all-you-can-eat power play as we got a look here at the Coleman goal.
Yeah, and again, I'm not sure, perhaps redirect. I think Coleman, based on the Selly as well, is even surprised that went in. You can see just a quick, it's just a simple draw back to the D, quick wrister. I'm wondering if that was tipped or perhaps a screen. It just didn't seem like Bateman saw it all the way.
Bertamini brings it in. Tries to center it, but it goes right to Ryan Bogan. And he'll play it all the way out. So a good start for the Beacons penalty kill. Killing off this major penalty. As Gino Carabelli done for the night. Now taking it in is Michaels. Gets it up top. Tim Manning. Now Bertamini. Back to Michaels. Down low. It's Anderson. Back to Bertamini up top. Back to Michaels. D to D. That shot deflects, and Best once again able to find it and smother it for a whistle.
Puck might have been redirected too. Let's take a look at that hit here just to give you a sense. A little bit behind there. Camera had a tough time catching up, but you can see just at the it's hard from that angle to get a really good vantage point, but you can kind of tell there. That'll show it right there. You see the elbow extends, and just before that, folks, coming through, you got two players kind of crossing in the same lane, so that elbow extends just enough, and there's contact to the head. So that's a pretty easy call for the referees there, and that's what warranted the 5 and 10.
And you could tell by Carabelli's reaction, he knew it.
Yeah. Anytime a player looks that way, you can just kind of feel, oh boy, I'm in trouble here. You're just looking for the mercy of the referees. And, you know, it's interesting. I wonder, had the original 5 and 10 not been called, you know, are they a little more lenient? But once you already have one on the opposing team, you're almost guaranteed to go yourself.
So 3:15 now to go on the major power play. Up top is Ignazito. Back to Riss. Now Ignazito walking towards goal. Takes the shot. Loses it, but gets it back. Now gets it to Risk up top. His shot. Deflects off Kirkostas' stick behind the net. Banks tried to backhand it out, but he fanned it. Now a chance for Benkauskas, shorthanded. Has Banks going to the middle. Benkauskas. Rebound. Saved by Bateman as Banks was there, but the rebound was too far in front of him.
I wonder if he saw him. It's a 2-on-0.
Benkauskas does a nice job once again, able to get it out, and he draws a penalty as well.
Well, Benkauskas, man, I don't know, rolling with that. If it's now, it might get canceled out. That was a pretty good slash. But on that shorthanded chance there, Andrew, it looked like Banks was right there with him. I don't know if Benkauskas either didn't see him or maybe saw something low he wanted to take advantage of. I was surprised he didn't dish there.
I don't think he saw him because you could tell Banks was a little bit behind the play and perhaps probably out of the vision of Benkauskas.
Well, after that, the penalty, you're exactly right. Roland's lucky. He's really fortunate because he took a pretty good whack after the play. I don't know if the referees obviously didn't see it. It was probably would have been called otherwise. He took a pretty good hack there, and it wasn't called. So essentially 4-on-4 here. It'll be about 37 seconds left on the power play for this Falcon team, but it really cancels out the last little bit they had here. Still 12 minutes in this hockey game, but boy, that one stings a little bit. Let's take a look at this replay real quick before the face-off here. You're going to see the penalty coming up right here. That's a pretty clean cross-check, but then thereafter, it was a pretty good whack by Roland.
And it appears, and all that, Cameron Weitzman is done for the evening as he heads to the locker room, perhaps with a little bit too much to say to the officials.
It's been headed that way, so yeah, I would guess that that's likely the cause. A 10-minute, he'll be done.
So 4-on-4. Bogan's shot deflects and goes up into the netting, out of play. 12-12 to go here in the third period, and we'll do it again to the right of Logan Bateman.
We mentioned it before, but I think that you've got to be cognizant, recognize the situation here. You got a Falcons team that's down 3. They're gonna, if they have an opportunity to spring a forward on a rush, they're gonna do so. So as a defenseman, good save there by Bateman. As a defenseman, as a beacon defenseman, just got to be aware if players creep behind you.
Anderson taking it the other way. Nice move, flips it in the air. The late man, that one goes wide as Derlia threw it towards goal. Close call there as it's flipped back by Bogan. Anderson knocks it out in midair, collects it. Tried to go D to Derlia, but it was too far in front of him. Roland battling there. Now Moran with it. Moran collects it, and a whistle. And it's going to be a high stick, so the face-off will come all the way back into the Beacon zone.
And the clock is your friend here, right? If you're this Beacons team, you just want to keep that thing moving. So avoid any type of icings. Off the glass is fine. If you're in a position where there's really no clear and easy pass, just try to get it to a spot where your team can win a board battle. Don't want to try to force anything here. Really no need to.
Puck tied up behind the net as DeLucio comes out with it. Now Clifton with speed through the neutral zone. Minute 12 to go on the 4-on-4 sequence as Falcons look to break out. Gagnon enters the zone. Tries to play it towards the middle, goes to the crease. Herpy whacks it behind the net. Clifton able to get it to Coleman. Now Coleman gets his pocket picked by Gagnon, gets stapled against the boards. And that one's whacked towards the far side boards by Clifton, but back up top. Risk a shot right into the feet of DeLucio. Clifton will softly chip it back to center. That one played through the middle. And a huge hit there by Coleman. Laying out a Tyler Ignazito. As now Herpy going after Coleman behind the net. And Ignazito will head off. That's the second big hit he's taken this period. And head coach Kyle Wallach is infuriated on the bench as he has just broken his stick. Still holding it. There is no penalty called on the play, but the official is now conferencing.
Been a lot of this here tonight, and referees just trying to keep a lid on the game. It was right in front of us. I mean, to me, that's a tall player, a shorter player making contact there. I didn't see a ton. The referees didn't see it either. Obviously, blood on the ice. I think this has kind of been building, Andrew. We've had some, and I think, again, this all starts with the early 5 and 10, where the Falcons had a player toss that probably didn't deserve it, and now you're kind of playing catch-up if you're the referees, right? You're trying to balance things out. To me, you've got a player now leaking blood on the ice. You've got a coach who's breaking a stick over the boards. They've already received a few bench minors here tonight. It really all stems from that call, and I think that's why, we talked a little bit about it. If you're going to toss somebody from a game, you just really have to be sure. It really has to be something egregious, because now you're in a situation, this referee group, kind of playing catch-up a little bit here, and you've got another little bit of a 50-50 judgment call on whether or not that hit was a penalty. We'll see if we can generate a replay, but referees now have to discuss what they want to do, and it just becomes, again, a little bit of a game of catch-up when you've already got two players that have been ejected.
Well, the 5 is posted, So that answers that question. And just going back to the hit in general, that's always a dangerous area of the ice, especially when you make a pass like that. You got to keep your head up, regardless of whether or not the hit was clean. And you could see Coleman had that body labeled ahead of time. And
you see this a lot, right, at the NHL level, particularly when you have, again, a player who's significantly taller than another player. There's going to be head contact. It's just a matter of a height difference, but it's really comes down to two things. From my perspective, it's intent, right, and also was there deliberate head contact. I think there's always going to be head movement, which is far different than head contact. And that's something I believe the referees are discussing here, was there a deliberate attempt, and looks like Keegan's going to be sent to the room. So I'll have to wait and see. Definitely a 5 here. Not really sure if that's in regard to, I believe it was Coleman.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why Keegan
made the hit.
That
That could be an equipment issue. Who knows? There's a lot going on here.
So the officials sorting out the laundry, and we
Ignazito obviously headed. He's leaking blood. He's got a towel over his face, so he's going to head to the room. I don't know if he'll be back, and they've got to get this blood off the ice, so we're going to get a little bit of delay here.
And why don't we step aside for a brief moment here, Mizey, as we'll get this squared away. We'll be back on the Beacons Broadcast Network. And we're back here inside Edward T. Berry Ice Rink, so
we have some cleaning up of our own to do here, Andrew.
Absolutely. Well, we're a bit confused because it was Blake Coleman that delivered the hit, but it appears Pat Keegan was sent off the ice.
Yeah, they got the wrong guy. Now, Keegan wears a C, so my guess is he probably didn't say much, just owned it. I'll take the hit and keep Coleman in the game. So it would be my guess, but nevertheless, Keegan done for the night. He's on the board with a 5 and a 10, even though it was Coleman who made the penalty.
So a 4-on-3 here for Albertus Magnus. That shot by Gagno goes off of Best's blocker. Walker tries to chip it out. Walker wins the puck, takes it behind the net, and will send it the length of the rink. That'll do it for the 4-on-3, so now a 5-on-3 for about 30 seconds.
Well, from my perspective, this is your hockey game. Yeah, Falcons got to find a way to probably get at least one, probably two here in order to climb back.
Gagnon to Risk up top. Over to Michaels, walking in, back to Risk. His shot, saved by Best. Cross ice to Michaels, couldn't handle the pass. And once again, Bankowskis got there but couldn't get it out. And now he does on the second attempt. Coyle Bankowskis has been spectacular on the PK
penalty kill specialist, 2 opportunities shorthanded there, and just continuous effort on the wall there to get that puck cleared.
So the first major penalty expires, and back to 5-on-4 for about 3:45 now. But once again, all you can eat with the major for the Falcons. As you mentioned, Mizey, this is probably the hockey game here. Beacons with a 3-goal lead. As that's sent in, Bogan tries to send it out, kind of fanned on it, but it gets back to center. Now quickly as Gagnon will bring it in. That one gets whacked away by Bogan, back to center and back to the Falcons' end. Herpy with a quick up. Kirkostas plays it through the middle, intercepted. Duncan back the other way, shorthanded, working against Herpy, and a big hit. Herpy with an old school hip check sends Duncan flying. Now back the other way. Bertamini tried to play it into the zone, got whacked back the other way by Coleman.
Falcons having a really difficult time entering the zone here. This breakout has been putrid.
And another big hit. Andy Walker this time, sitting his man down. That was Antoniotis. Now to the near side, Bertamini. 2:44 to go on the power play. Down low. Now up top, Bertamini steps into one. That one goes wide. Herpy backhands it around behind the net. As Antoniotis now chips it in the middle. Tim Manning was there. He gets it up top. Herpy plays it over into the corner. Kerwin with it. Back up top, Bertamini. Herpy shot. Best may have got a piece of it. As Kerwin back to Bertamini. Cross ice. Manning to the face-off dot. Stays with it. Up top to Herpy. Back to Manning. Manning through to Bertamini. Nice move. Cuts to the middle. His shot. Save Best. Rebound. He got it as well. Kerwin stays with it. 1:45 to go. That shot deflected. Saved Best. And he's able to find the rebound and freeze it.
Yeah, this goaltender is just completely dialed in here, folks. I mean, he's getting good reads on absolutely everything here. High, low, on top of him. It just seems like he's completely dialed in. And sometimes you're going to run into a goaltender that's just seen it. When you're at this level, you're so confident in every single shot that comes your way. And you could see it in the way. Even that last one deflected. He was right into his glove. I mean, those are saves that the NHL goalies have a tough time making. And it seems like Best is really just on top of his game here tonight.
Banks tried to get it out, but it went right to Michaels. That one sent in to the near corner. 1:30 to go on the major penalty to what seems like Pat Keegan is being given to, but we think it was Blake Coleman. Nonetheless, Risk reverses it for Michaels. Michaels dancing to the outside, being bothered there by Bankowskis. Michaels stays with it, tries to thread the needle through, and that one's chipped by Chionchi. Now Risk has it, top of the point. That shot deflects, pad save by Best, goes to the corner. A minute even to go on the power play. 6:42 to go in the third period. Beacons with a 4-1 lead. Bankowskis tries to get it out but can't. Michaels now with it on the far side. And Bankowskis disrupts that pass back to center, and that allows the Beacons to change. But quickly back the other way. Risk tried to hit Pattison, didn't get his stick on it. Bogan tried to clear it, but he fanned on it. Now Moran plays it off the ceiling, so the faceoff will stay in the Beacons' end with 36 seconds to go on the penalty.
That hurts. If he's able, I think it was Bogan is able to get that out all the way down, it really would clear the end of this 36 seconds. Instead, it hits the ceiling. Too much loft. And instead, you got an end zone draw here. So still some life here for this Falcons team. They got to find a way to get one here.
Hugans couldn't win the draw as that pass attempt from Farrell goes back to center. Gagnon gives it to Farrell. Inside 30 seconds now on the power play, and a nice play there by DeLuzio, who sends it all the way back down. Bateman out to leave it off. Brady Farrell hitting Gagnon on the wing. Nice move by Gagnon. He enters the zone, puts a shot on goal, but blocked by Coleman. DeLuzio sends it off the linesman, and that will do it as the Beacons remain perfect on the penalty kill here this afternoon. Pass up though to Gagnon. He'll bring it in. Tries to get it to the middle. Late man Kirkostas tries to move around Guggens. Gagnon, backdoor. Fanning on it was Anderson. Now Gagnon, or rather Kirkostas, a chance, and he fans on it as well. Goes behind the net. Guggens pushed down to the ice. Moran flips it off the boards. Back to the neutral zone. Bertamini back to get it. Gagnon now with it. He'll bring it in again. Gets pushed by Bordeaux, but stays with it. Gagnon to the outside. Now curls back behind the net, tries to center it, and it was knocked down. Now Clifton has it. Nice pass between his legs. Oh, almost a breakaway for Bordeaux back the other way, but Herpy read it perfectly. Herpy stays with it. Gets bumped by Browning. Browning chips it back the other way. Bordeaux tries to get there, but it was Anderson who got there first. Now Moran digging away. Browning in there as well. Puck tied up and played around the boards. Bogan on the far side, looks to exit, hits Clifton out of the zone. Clifton through the middle, brings it in, tries to cut to the outside, got disrupted by Risk, and now Friedman and him tangle in front of the bench. Back the other way, Michaels will enter the zone. His shot goes wide on the glove side. Friedman loses an edge, and the Falcons will stay with it. That shot goes wide and flips to the near side. Manning tries to play it out. Clifton, a chance perhaps the other way. Working against Michaels. Pulls up but loses it. Risk will step in and take it. Back the other way, exits his own zone through the middle. But Friedman wins that puck. He'll take it towards the net. Leaves it for Walker. Back to Friedman. Friedman tries to wrap around, and the net will come off its mooring. So an unlucky break there for the Beacons with 3:52 to go in this third period.
Well, one of the things I think the Beacons have done for the majority of this hockey game has been quite disruptive in the neutral zone and in their own zone to what the Falcons are trying to do offensively. They've only had a couple opportunities, the Falcons have, to enter the zone with speed, which is really their game. And when they don't have that, it seems like there's just a little bit of confusion on what plan B is. The Beacons have taken full advantage of that. Defensively, it seems like every time they enter the zone, Beacons are on top of them. And that's something we haven't seen a ton of yet in this hockey season here thus far. Clearly a point of emphasis for Coach Blyle and his staff after the break here, because tonight the Beacons have just, I think, done an exceptionally job of allowing their goaltender to see it. He's played fantastic, but I think defensively they've looked strong.
That one chipped in, ruled no icing. So the Beacons now 3 minutes and 30 seconds away of winning back-to-back Codfish Bowl championships. As that one chipped to the near side, kept in by Browning. Now behind the net, Duncan able to stay with it as it's tied up. Swooping in is Bankowskis. Matthews throws one towards goal, blockered away by Bateman to the far side. Picking that up is Chionchi. He'll play it for Farrell, and Manning at center ice dumps it in on Best. He'll glove it down and opt to take a whistle with some tired Beacons on the ice.
Well, with just under 3 minutes here left in the hockey game, I think the one thing you just want to be cognizant of, if you're the referees and if you're the Beacons, is Falcons team taking some liberties. Game virtually at hand, pretty much over at this point. I can imagine they're extremely frustrated with the way things have gone. They've been at a disadvantage a lot of times here tonight, and we've gone over it at length. And some of the things that really haven't fallen their way. So the last thing you want to see is a player taking an extra shot or trying to get even literally on the ice with perhaps, some of the Beacons players that hurt some of their teammates. I mean, these are things that can happen. So I think that's just one thing we don't want to see here in this game. Hopefully referees are aware of it as well.
Absolutely. There's a lot of rough stuff going on. As you mentioned, Mizey, once that first major is called, seen a lot of aggressive play here as the puck's tied up in that near corner. Bankowskis plays it around to the far side. Herpy able to keep it in. And another big hit there is Banks. And a shot on goal. And another save by Best. Got it with the blocker. Now Banks chips it ahead. Owen Bordeaux couldn't handle it. Empty net here for Albertus Magnus. Now a chance. Pattison backhands that one, sticked away by Best. So the extra attacker on for the Falcons. Puck behind the net. Banks gets on it first. Gets it to Bordeaux. Goes too far ahead of him. And they'll go back to Harley Michaels. 1:53 to go. Now Risk on the near side. He'll bring it in. Leaves it for Kirkostas. Kirkostas takes it behind the red line. Now circles back. Gets it to Gagnon. Flips it towards the middle, but Sam Best alert to it. And he'll glove it for a whistle.
Well, credit to this team. This Beacons team, 4-1 lead here, just under 2 to play, and I think deserving to win this game. They've done a lot of things right. Their goaltender has just been absolutely outstanding. I see him as the virtual lock for the MVP of this Codfish tournament. For those that don't know, the second oldest tournament, only behind the Beanpot in college hockey history. Another save there.
And another one off the rebound. Best gets it with the glove again. He has been spectacular.
But I think you're seeing this Beacons team perhaps taking another form. And for those that have tuned in this year, the first half was just not what we've come to expect from this program, and far from it. Let a lot of games slip away, just didn't look confident in their structure, didn't really have an identity. And then here tonight, you see strong goaltending. Offensively, they found ways to capitalize. They're physical. They've defended well. I mean, they're doing a lot of things here in this hockey game. And again, early, still a lot of hockey left in the second half, but looking like it's going to be 3 wins in a row, 2 of which have come last night and here tonight as well.
And it just seems as the last 2 games, this Beacons team, as you said, has found an identity and also has found a rhythm on the ice. Saw a lot of lack of execution early on in the season, but that hasn't been the case the last 2 games. As perhaps one more opportunity with the goalie pulled as Risk will send it behind the net. James tried to center it in front. Now shot from the point, off the post. As Risk gets it back over to Michaels. Michaels a shot. That one gets tipped by Kerwin, and a penalty coming here. And the Beacons are going to be guilty of a cross check. So a 2-man advantage in the final 41 here.
And that's fine if you're the Beacons, right? Now you get the ability to ice the puck and wind this clock down. But for Best getting one off the post, you get a couple free ones. When you made this many saves in a night, you tend to get at least 1 or 2 free that are on the house. And you can see one there. That one had him beat, but clean off the post and out the other side.
So it's Grady Friedman, the guilty party. Sam Best now with 31 saves on the game. Shots even at 32 apiece. Puck tied up in the corner. Pattison. He'll swoop in. Gets bothered by Browning. Now up to Risk. Can't handle the puck as it goes back to the neutral zone. He'll go cross to Michaels. Final 20 seconds. That one's sent in. And sent all the way down the ice by Ryan Rowland in the final 10. And the Falcons will sit on the puck and let the clock wind down. And that will do it. Your UMass Boston Beacons have won the 57th annual Codfish Bowl championship game back-to-back. And that's got to feel good for UMass.
It certainly is. For those that have been around the program, they know how much this tournament means to Coach Blyle, to the history of this school. And this is something, when you talk about the list of goals for any team, a Codfish win is usually on that list. There's usually 4 or 5 things that the coaching staff and the team will agree upon going into a season, and the Codfish Bowl is definitely on there. It's something, again, that pride for the school and for the coaching staff. This game was a lot of ups and downs, had a lot to it, some physicality and just a lot of things that you see over the course of a hockey game. But the Beacons found a way to come up on top 4-1, and going to be pretty proud. I think they're going to have a pretty good New Year's celebration here after getting another back-to-back victory here at this tournament.
Absolutely, and now the Beacons have won 3 games in a row. So after the break, they've come back and have looked real strong, perhaps working out the kinks that we saw at the beginning of the season. And a win against 2 quality opponents, beating Fitchburg yesterday, who came in with a 5-2-2 record, and now they beat a 10-3 team today. So the Beacons taking care of business, and as we mentioned, it's got to feel good as they're gathering some momentum here.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think these are out-of-conference games, so you've got to take it, find a way to take what you've done here and bring it into conference, which they've struggled a bit thus far. But I think this is exactly, like you said, a building block for this team, which, quite frankly, probably had some pretty low confidence going into the Christmas break. And now here we are coming into the Codfish Bowl. They get that win, and we talked about that, how important that win against Anna Maria was in overtime, coming to the Codfish Bowl with a little bit of momentum. And here now 2 wins. They win the tournament. Going into now conference play here in the second half, it's probably feeling pretty good in the locker room.
As we now wait for the, as you mentioned, the MVP and the trophy presentation. You mentioned, Mizey, kind of a counter to the Beanpot, perhaps the Division III version.
It is. A lot of people don't know that, but as you mentioned, 57 years running.
Goes back to the days of Boston State.
It does, yeah. Before UMass Boston was UMass, it was Boston State. You're exactly right. So this tournament's been going on for quite some time, and I don't think a lot of people realize the history that's involved. I mean, mostly local schools. Sometimes, you get some schools that come from out of state, which quite frankly I'd like to see more of. I think they could probably bring in some out-of-towners and maybe promote this tournament a little bit more across the Division III schools nationally, but that's a conversation for another day. I think locally this tournament is well known around the Division III circles, and certainly a lot of pride with it.
Absolutely. And it appears that Corey Clifton will be named the MVP, if I heard that correctly, and could have given it to a lot of guys, but well deserved by Clifton. Had
Some
a goal
hardware.
Yesterday.
Always good to get some hardware.
Absolutely. As we mentioned, Clifton had a goal and an assist yesterday, and adding another goal here today. And he was all over the puck. As Captain Nick DeLuzio will head over to accept the Codfish Bowl trophy. So that'll wrap up our third period action. We'll be back to go over the final scoring summary, 3 stars of the game, and our game stats for this one. Final score, UMass Boston 4, Albertus Magnus 1, and the Beacons are your 57th annual Codfish Bowl champions. We'll be right back on the Beacons Broadcast Network. right, welcome back here inside Edward T. Berry Ice Rink to wrap up our broadcast here, going over the scoring summary. Corey Clifton opening the scoring, getting his third of the season from Grady Friedman and Mike Manzo. And second, Grady Friedman grabbing his fifth of the season from Clifton and Manzo again. Then Blake Coleman on the 5-on-3 power play got his first of the year from Manzo. Manzo with 3 assists, actually 4, as the final goal, Blake Coleman, his second of the season. Another power play goal, and I missed the Luke James goal there by Albertus Magnus. But that's our final scoring summary as we take a look at our final stats of this one. As talked about the shot mentality, Mizey, Beacons actually end up on the wrong side of the shot chart, but as you mentioned, that's going to happen when you have, 3 major penalties called in this game.
Yeah, and more so than just the shots on goal, I think the best thing for me was the fact that they kept things simple offensively, and it was really nothing too creative. I don't think any of their goals were particularly too pretty. The Clifton goal, actually, the pass across to Friedman was probably their best highlight reel goal, but other than that, it was pretty much just getting pucks towards the net, finding ways to get them through. The one that pops in my head is just the third one right off the play. Coleman just kind of gets a wrister through, found its way home. So things like that, I think, are where this Beacons team are going to find success. I think once they get away from that, they start to try and be a little bit too pretty is where they get into trouble. We didn't see that here tonight, and on top of that, they got an outstanding performance by Sam Best.
So we look at the screen, 35 saves for Best, and he's really seemed to find his game at this point into the season. And how much confidence does that give the Beacons as a team moving forward when you know your goaltender is going to have your back and play as well as he did going forward?
I think particularly at the Division III level, right, you only get about 25 games. So in a lot of cases when a goaltender doesn't have their best confidence or is struggling a little bit, you can allow them to maybe take some time off the ice, work in things in practice, take a few games off, let the backup get some reps right, and then you come back in. The Division III level, you just don't have that much runway, right? So you really need your goaltender to figure it out quickly. And Sam Best had a little bit of a hiccup. We've seen Liam Murray get some games, but it seems like he's fully recovered. Best just tonight looks so confident in it. And I mentioned it earlier, when you have a goaltender that's moving into shots, not guessing, it's very evident that they are seeing things clearly. And you can see from Best, obviously putting the work in practice here tonight, was well prepared coming into this game, made a lot of key stops early to give his team a chance to start to walk away with it slowly but surely as the game progressed. And really, you've got to be happy. You've now clearly have a starter in Sam Best for the rest of the way.
Well, special teams as well was a story for the Beacons today. They dominated. Again, hot in the power play. 3 power play goals today. They had 2 yesterday. They have doubled just about their total on the season in 2 games. They had 3 total on the season coming into yesterday. Now they have 5 in their last 2 games. And their penalty kill was perfect today, killing all 5 penalties. Let's talk about how important it is to have special teams on both sides play a part in winning games.
Particularly the penalty kill, right? We looked at the power play percentage. They were hovering around 10%. Now they got some here tonight, and I think that number is bound to go up. I don't think they're going to spend the season at about 10%. I'd expect them to probably finish somewhere between 15 to 20% on the power play this year. I think for me, it's the penalty kill. If they can neutralize some of these teams that they're going to be facing, particularly in their conferences, the Norwich, the Babsons, the Elmiras, the Hobarts, those are the teams that really specialize on their power play. And if they can find a way to neutralize that, you're taking one of these teams' best assets off the table. So I think for me, really looking at what they were able to do tonight on some of these major penalties, some of these long, 5-minute, a lot of time on the ice, they were really stayed within their structure. I think that's going to be a point of emphasis for this team, is making sure, regardless of how what our power play percentage is our penalty kill where it needs to be, because I think that's going to be more of the identity of this hockey team.
And as you see, the penalties, there are a lot of penalty minutes tonight, but we won't talk about that. As we now move on to our 3 stars of the game, as number 3 star, Corey Clifton, a goal and an assist. Blake Coleman, 2nd star, grabbing his first 2 goals of the season, both on the power play. And then Sam Best, spectacular again, 35 saves, only 1 goal allowed, and he was really the backbone this afternoon for the Beacons. Now let's move on to thank everybody here, our productions team, and move on to the new year. As there it is on the screen. I just want to thank our producer, Michael Vecchi, directors, Alina Albano, and our camera operators, Gina Albano, Josh Eastman, Colin Ford, Maria Spilios, Tam Landry on graphics as always, and replay, Grace Kelly. I'm Andrew Bluestein, and for Matt Meisenbacher, we'll sign off. Once again, final score, the UMass Boston Beacons 4 and the Albertus Magnus Falcons 1. Beacons are your 57th annual Codfish Bowl champions. And Happy New Year, everybody. Good night.